Palm Springs, California for a kickoff. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
It's wonderful to talk to you. My husband and I discovered you when we moved to the desert 6 years ago, and have been listening ever since.
Well, I am delighted. We had a very pleasant sojourn there about 3 years ago. It's about time we got to come back to Palm Desert.
Wonderful weather right now. I'm sure you'd miss the cold that you're getting now. It's great.
I'll bet you. What can I do for you?
Well, my husband and I have a house, and this area out here, it is extremely warm during the summer, and as a result, the wood that we use for our fences takes quite a beating. And so a couple years ago, we decided to go ahead and replace our wood fence with a block wall fence, which is the best solution in this area.
Sure.
And talked about it with our neighbors, and, you know, they had all agreed that it was the best idea.
Why did the neighbors get involved?
Well, we had hoped that they would, pay for part of that expense.
Oh, they're the beneficiary of having the other side of the wall, huh?
Right. And our one neighbor to the side of us gladly went in on with us, and we went ahead and had it done. And the neighbor behind us, we had talked about it with them. And they had told us all along that, they happened to have some other expenses and would not be able to contribute. Well, once we had put the wall in, we decided, well, we'll just give it one more crack because it was such an expense. And we thought that, it wasn't out of our place to go and ask them for part of this. And so my husband had gone over for, just a few minutes and just presented the cost and that we would like to work something out. And so the following day they had come over and given us this long letter of reasons why they were not going to pay, but the underlying tone was that how dare we even ask them to contribute to this fence that is of great benefit to them also. And so my question is, we were so floored by it, and we've always had such good relations that right now we're so angered that we really don't know the next step. It's been a couple of weeks.
There isn't any step.
Is there not?
The fence belongs to you. You put it up gratuitously, and you can't put up a fence with only one side on it, as much as you might like to.
Right.
And when you put a fence up, the other guy, if he wants a fence, is the beneficiary. And there's nothing more you can do about it.
But were we in the wrong to even?
No, I don't think you're in the wrong. That you don't get unless you ask. And I think that given the fact that they are the beneficiaries, I think that it's nothing wrong with asking. On the other side of that, they did tell you well in advance that we've got other expenses and we can't afford to put up a fence, and that's the way it is. Because there's the fence is not necessary, is it?
Well, see, at this point, the money is a no issue. It really wasn't a great amount to begin with.
Well, but what I meant was the fence is not something you couldn't live without if you had to.
Well, see, at the point that it was at now is that it was just so dilapidated.
No. But let's eliminate the fence. No fence at all. There's no reason to have a fence there, is there? It's decorative. It kind of delineates your property.
Right.
It keeps the dog in, but there's no reason for your health and welfare and safety where there has to be a wall there.
No, right.
Well, so that you're the beneficiary. No, I think that I don't have any problem with you asking. But I can understand where they will say, look, we didn't want a fence, we can't afford a fence, and we aren't going to pay for a fence.
I guess so. We're the kind of people that we like to resolve things, and we just wonder if this is just going to encourage further bad feelings if we don't, or if we just let it go.
I'd just go patch it up. Say, look, I'm sorry you can't afford it. We felt that we had a right to ask, clearly, because Mr. and Mrs. Smith next door, Harriet and Joan, however you want to call them, they contributed, and because they're the beneficiaries, and we felt you should as well. How much did their section, the section that affects them, cost?
It's about $2,000.
So you wanted $1,000 from them?
Well, we even cut it down, though. It was like we expected about $1,000 or less than $1,000. Yeah.
No, I'd go make my peace with them because you're going to have to still live with them.
Certainly.
And legally, there's not a thing you can do.
Right.
Morally, I have no problem with asking, but if they made it, if they told you ahead of time, sorry, kids, we haven't got the bread, what more can you ask?
Well, let me ask you one more thing, Bruce. After we had put in the wall and we had known that they probably wouldn't, be able to contribute and decided to go ask them, one of the things that was in this letter that we did not consult them about the color and style of the brick when we were forced, by city code to go with a certain brick and etc.
Well, I'd tell them that. When you're talking to them, say, look, This wasn't a judgment call. The city, the building code says you got to use a certain kind of Adobe brick or whatever it is, and that's it. I wouldn't worry about that. They're looking for reasons to justify what they're doing.
Right.
And they probably, if they really have financial problems, that was probably hard for them to admit as well.
Right.
I do wish you well.
Well, thanks so much, Bruce.
I hope we got to your part of the world one day. Give your local station a call. I would be delighted. Grand Rapids, Michigan, home of WOOD and Mike LaRue.
That's right. Hey, how you doing, Bruce?
Hi, I'm doing well.
That's great. Say, listen, I have a situation which I'm involved in. I just want some advice on it. Let me indulge you on some background information. My father, 25 years ago, bought a business. It's a cleaning service here in town. And for about 13 of those 25 years, he's been running it as a family-run business. He's had 8 kids.
And kids all put their internship in and so forth?
That's right. Well, 13 years ago it was my turn. At the age of 15, I joined the business. When I graduated from high school 8 years ago, my dad offered me a full-time position since I was the only one who showed any interest in this company to take it over from him.
Well, wait a minute. Is that what he said?
Well, about 2 years prior to that, he wanted to get out and venture into another business. I told him to hold on to the cleaning service because you never know what's going to happen to the other business. It turned out he never did get into the other business, and he just thought after that point, when I graduated from high school, that I would just assume coming into the business.
And did you?
I did.
All right.
What has happened over the last 8 years is that when I did come into business, we were always told that when I did get into business, we would finally get this business to grow to the point where we could get to be one of the largest cleaning services in the city of Grand Rapids.
Did that happen?
No, it is not.
Some reason?
For the past 8 years, it seems like every single time we're looking at growth, my father has always put the brakes on.
Why?
And says, we got to be cautious. Let's take it slowly. I've developed, accounts that could easily be bringing in, $40,000 to $60,000 a year, and he has turned those accounts away, saying, we can't handle that work. The problem has also increased that over the last 8 years, I'm sticking roughly into the sole proprietorship, which is underneath my father's name. I am sticking $5,000 a year, so a total of $40,000 that if the business is ever sold, I will not see a penny of.
Where's that? How are you putting that in?
I'm buying like supplies. For example, if a vacuum cleaner is needed, I would go out and buy the vacuum cleaner.
Well, why do you do that?
Because at the time, my dad has always run a very tight business. It's not a very large company. At times, I could afford it better than he could. And I would just take it off of my taxes instead of having him take it off of his.
Seems to me you and your dad will have a heart-to-heart talk.
Well, we've been doing that for the last 3 or 4 years, and every single time we sit down, we talk, we again go through the whole process, and he says, yes, we will expand, but then nothing ever happens.
Well, you ought to put a timetable on it and say, look, Pop, I love you, and you're always my father, but we could disagree about business, and maybe I'll have to go my own way and start my own business.
Okay. And I'm just at a point right now where I'm just so frustrated. I'm seeing all this money going in, and nothing's happening with it.
And furthermore,
seeing it going down the toilet.
And furthermore, you're spending your time and effort.
Well, see, that's where it is right now. My dad is 68 years old now.
Right.
And it's at a point right now where I am running the business 99%. I mean, right now I brought the business up to the point where we do have 10 part-time employees. But it's at the point right now where my dad is getting to be very, very slow at his age. Well,
why don't you ask your dad if you can buy him out now?
We approached that option also, and it got to the point where he asked for too much money to make it worth my while.
How much did he want for it?
Well, I offered him at the time. I offered him $175,000, and he said that wasn't near enough.
How much does the business do? How much does it gross? How much is he making a year for himself?
How much is he making for himself a year? I estimate right around $30,000.
You offered him $175,000?
I offered him $175,000.
You offered him more than it's worth in all likelihood.
Well, the business is grossing. You see, my wages are about 22. His wages are 30, so the business could gross. My dad does practically nothing. So, we're looking at $50,000 worth of...
I think if you give him $175,000, you ought to be happy as a pig with his snoot in a trough.
Because, the business right now is grossing roughly about $110,000.
I think he's overpriced. My opinion. If you're willing to give him that kind of dough, even over an extended period of time, you're being very generous. So I'd say to him, look, I love you, Pop, and you'll always be my father, but I got to do one of two things. I got to grow. Now, I will buy the business, and this is the number, 175, with so much down and so much over so many years, and you can enjoy your retirement with my mother if your mother's still alive. If you can't, we can understand that, and I'm going to strike out on my own because those accounts are still out there, and I'm going to get them one way or another. And I do it.
Okay.
Good luck, my son.
I appreciate it.
So I don't understand some fathers in that regard. I mean, I work with my kids. You got to let loose a little bit. You really do. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. 30 Eastern Standard Time. That's 2 to 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. The usual number, 800-TALKNET. And I do hope you'll join us. St. Pete, hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Hey, Bruce.
Hello there.
Hey, listen, greetings from sunny Florida.
Yes, indeed.
80 degrees today, buddy.
I hate you. Stick pins in your doll.
Hey, listen, me and my dad have got a business down here. We do automobile air conditioning from the truck. Mm-hmm. We come to your location and we fix your air wherever you're at.
Sure.
Used car lots, work, wherever you might be. My question to you is right now it's just me and him. And we've got a couple of trucks and we want to expand. But we have a couple of small problems that I wanted to get your opinion on. One of them is, being as it is a seasonal business, although Florida is, you know how the weather is down here, it's very unpredictable. Mm-hmm. And during these months that we're in now, you know, January, February, and March, we have a real problem with, you know, keeping up work. You know,
yeah, some days you're busy, some days you're not.
Right. In the summer months, we're busy all the time.
Surely.
My question is, we want to buy 2 or 3 more trucks and equip the trucks. And what we're having a problem with is whether or not we should hire employees, give them benefits, you know, what you would give a regular employee in a regular corporation.
Yeah, or
put them on as independent contractors.
You can't do that.
But see, there's a problem
You can't do it. You're not allowed to do what you want to do. You can't go out and buy trucks and all that kind of stuff and make them. If you want them to buy their own trucks and their own tools and their own business, yeah.
But what about leasing them the truck?
No, you can't. It's clearly you're trying to circumvent the law with regard to employees, and the IRS is not going to stand still for that.
Okay. So my next question to you is then how can we keep employees happy in January, February, and March when there's no work?
Sometimes you have to lay them off, and sometimes you got to figure out a way to generate work. Mm-hmm. Well, for example, now I'm just thinking out loud, okay?
Right.
Have you thought about reconditioning parts and stuff in your shop during the off season?
Right, that's what we do now.
All right.
We recondition compressors.
Right. All right.
That's the only part that we recondition, though. We don't recondition any other kind of air parts except compressors.
Well, can you learn? But can you learn to do some other things?
Well, you can, but it gets a lot more involved than we want to put the capital up for, if you know what I mean. In other words, you know, you can get into evaporators and dryers and all those other kind of complicated parts, but it just gets into a lot more involvement than we want to get into. Plus, the cost effectiveness of it is you can go out and buy an evaporator, recondition them from one of these Texas.
All right, okay. Let's not beat it to death.
Okay.
What I'm trying to do is find something that they can do productively for you during the off season, or we may have to lay them off during the off season, but that's hard to keep them around for the busy season.
Yeah.
But things are no different if they're an independent contractor. They'd still be out of work during the slow season, so you haven't changed anything. All you've done is change the technical status. So that doesn't address the problem. The problem is...
The part of it is, I'm young, and my dad's been in the business for 40 years, and trying to convince him of that. See, that was my concept in the beginning. Let's put them on as regular employees.
Yeah.
But trying to convince him of the fact that to put them on as regular employees is a whole other ballgame in itself.
Well, he doesn't have any choice if he wants to expand. He really doesn't. Now, it may be that you want to figure out another business altogether, aside from the one that you have now. For example, the guy who's in the fuel oil business in the north, or let me give you a better example. When we go in the corner, we'll talk about businesses that shift gears because they're seasonal. Fair enough?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, you hang on. I'm Bruce Williams. And of course, this is Talknet. I'm chatting with a young fellow in St. Petersburg, Florida. They are in the air conditioning business, but like many seasonal enterprises, they're trying to figure out how you keep the employees busy during the off-season, right?
That's it.
It happens all the time. I mean, I have a good friend who's in the majority of the year, one of his stores sells patio furniture. But in the Northeast, you don't sell much patio furniture from about the middle of October to the middle of January, do you?
Definitely not.
Or so what do you suppose he does?
I don't know, Bruce.
He has a Christmas store in there.
That's my dilemma, man.
Well, listen to me. He has a Christmas store. Rips out all the patio furniture, becomes a Christmas shop. Well, then you're laughing. I'm telling you. And he does a fantastic business.
He's making money.
Well, that's right. There are any number of guys that run pool stores in the summertime and Christmas shops in the winter. I know another fellow who's in the fuel oil business in the wintertime. But he has an off season, or for him it's off season, business in the summertime. Now, you may have to shift gear. The best example of that, for me, it taught me a lesson. How old are you?
27.
Well, I was younger than you are when I learned the lesson. That's a lot of years ago from a guy named George Monahan, who was my uncle. George was involved. He's a partner in a business. And when he got out, the business almost went broke. He bought back in for next to nothing. The business prospered. And when he got out again, it did go broke. So it must have been something about him that kept that place going, right?
Well, what was it?
Well, it was a lumber yard. Now, in those days, lumber yard, at least in this particular lumber yard, most of the lumber came in on freight cars. And, of course, you have to pay a charge on the freight car, so you want to get the lumber unloaded pretty quick, right?
Sure.
And that requires bodies. On the other hand, there was a lot of time when there was no lumber to unload. There was nothing to do, and he had bodies sitting around pretty regularly, but he had to have the help, and the guys get paid, whether like your dad and like yourself. Fair enough?
Right, okay.
All right, so George finally concocted a plan, which I'm still looking, and in some ways I've found it. It's my rat box, George's rat box, because he was very close by a very large pharmaceutical manufacturer, and they kept an enormous number of rats for experimentation, white rats, all right? So he bid the contract to supply these boxes. So what it was anytime and I worked for him when I was home on leave from the Air Force, right? Anytime you weren't unloading lumber or putting the stuff in the racks,
you're building
You built rat boxes, right?
No kidding.
So the labor cost in a rat box was non-existent because he had to pay those guys anyway. And so he kicked butt when it came to the rat box contracts. Wow. Nobody could ever outbid him.
But that's a genius business mind.
George was quite a guy. He's been dead for 25 years. But the rest of my life, I've been looking for the rat box in everybody who works for me knows when I say I'm looking for the rat box.
Yeah.
In one business where we have people making bows all the time. There's nothing else to do, make bows, because we use a ton of bows. You see? That's my rat box.
That's the thing with me, we really want to expand, because this business is it's booming down here.
Then look for your rat box, son. Keep the people working on something else.
Yeah, well, I think the compressors is going to be the answer. It's just a matter of my dad wanting to put up more money.
That might be it. It could be you could do compressors for other people, for other guys who don't have...
Well, see, he's talking about going north and getting a bunch of compressors from up there during the off season, and then bringing them down here and reconditioning them.
Fine.
Well, that'll keep us busy for a while.
I
don't know about 2 or 3 other guys.
Look at it this way: if you can keep the guys busy on a break-even proposition, then you got them there to do the work where you're making money. The rest of it during the high season. Nothing wrong with that.
We thought about paying them commissions on the high season, because that's the only way they can really make money is on commissions.
I'll give you another example of that. A guy that I don't know them well, but I know them. Do you know what annuals are? You must live them where you are. Annual plants.
Right.
That you put in your garden, and then when the first frost comes, it kills them. You put them in again the next year.
Right.
Dusty Miller, all that kind of stuff, right? There's a company in our area that is huge. I mean, enormous. And they grow annuals. And you start putting the annuals in about the 1st of January, sterilizing the soil, putting them in flats and so on and so forth, right? Mm-hmm. And that's all he did. And when the annuals are over in the middle of April and May, that was the end of it till next year. And they were getting ready, changing the plastic on the houses and getting them in shape. We're talking about many, many acres under plastic. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
All of a sudden, these guys decided to start growing a few poinsettias.
For the wintertime.
For the wintertime. Now they are the biggest poinsettia grower in our area. 40 acres of points under glass.
Yeah. Have you ever done any business down here in Tampa?
I have an office outside of Tampa.
Did you ever do any business with, I don't know if I can mention the dealer's name.
No. I've done commercials down there, but I do have an office on US 19.
Really?
Yeah, I surely do. And I have a home down there, too.
No kidding.
So, son of a gun.
Whereabouts is it?
I don't want to get too specific now.
No, but really, you've never done any business with any automobile dealers down here in Tampa?
No, my son did.
Is your son the same name as you?
He has the same last name. He did a show on what was then our affiliate. They called it was called Shop Talk, and he did an automobile show in Tampa. Yes. His name is Matthew.
Yes.
Right.
I've heard that.
Well, Matt is now in Longview, Texas, and the morning man on
my dad's that kind of guy. He's a genius when it comes to cars. I mean, all I have to do is say, this is what's wrong, and that's what's wrong right there. You go fix that. I don't even need to think.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said, I don't even need to think.
Sounds to me like you have a lot of respect for your father.
I do. He's been in the business for 41 years.
That's terrific. Hey, I hope one day we'll get to meet, my friend.
Hey, when are you going to be down here?
Another couple of weeks. I'll be in Fort Myers a couple of weeks from now, and I'm going to stay in the area where I have my home for a weekend, would you believe?
No kidding.
Drop us a post.
Enjoy the weather while you're here.
I shall. I wish you well, son.
Thank you very much.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. This is Talknet. Young fellow asked about Florida. Yeah, I'll be in Florida a weekend after this one at the Sheraton Harper Place in Fort Myers. It's courtesy of WINK in Fort Myers, WNOG in Naples, and WAMR in Venice, Sarasota. So if you're in any one of those areas, you might want to give the station a call, find out how you can get your tickets, and come on down and see us Sunday afternoon, February the 4th. I'm looking forward to a little of that Florida sunshine. And tomorrow, looking forward to you from 2 to 5:30 off the air, taking your calls, putting them on tape for broadcast at a future date. The number 800-TALKNET. Paxton, Massachusetts. You've been patient. I appreciate that. Hello.
How are you, Bruce?
I'm doing real well.
I love listening to you.
Well, thank you, sir.
I have a little problem here that might become a nightmare for us.
Talk to me.
Myself and my brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws, we own a house. I had a purchase and sale agreement on it, and we're going to pass papers on it sometime next month.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, my brother-in-law gets a phone call from this guy saying that...
From which guy?
An oil man, okay? Saying that he delivered oil to the house by mistake.
Okay.
And wanted the oil taken out or to pay for the oil.
All right.
So my brother-in-law says, that's impossible. We had a full tank of oil. There's no way you could have put the oil in.
Mm-hmm.
So they go to the house, and only to find that the tank had imploded from the oil because of the pressure. And about 275 gallons of oil in the cellar.
Imploded?
Yeah, the whole tank just split at the seams.
Well, it's explode, but
whatever.
Implode is kind of, okay.
Well, all the valves had just pushed down inside the tank. Anyway, the oil's on the floor.
Where is the tank is in the cellar itself?
That's correct.
Not buried in the ground?
No, it's an above ground
How
tank.
much does the tank hold?
275 gallons.
Well, why would that make it, it should overflow. It shouldn't.
Well, the whole tank just came apart at the seams.
Something wrong with that tank, then.
You think so?
Yes, sir. Because if the tank was in good shape, all that would happen was you'd have a heck of a mess.
Right.
I mean, you still have the oil over the place, but just because you overfilled it, that wouldn't make it burst.
Well, anyway, this isn't our oil man to begin with.
Well, without regard to that.
Okay, now whose liability is it?
Well, that's a good question. I suppose he has some culpability here, but I'm back to the tank. Was it an old tank?
Yeah.
Yeah, it must have been a very old tank.
I mean,
I have a couple of problems.
What's on your mind, Bubby?
Well, one, I had a solution if you want to hear it for the man who had the chemical spill, and the second is I've got moving problems, and I don't know which insurance company to go after.
Well, let's talk about we don't ordinarily do this, but I think a gentleman had a whole ton of oil spilled into his cellar. The reasons are unimportant, but he got a whole lot of fuel oil in the cellar. House stinks. Your turn.
All right. What you have to do is call the nearest university and the Department of Health, and you want to get into a biologist who's doing the epidemiological studies on chemical damage to people and things.
Yeah.
And they will tell you what you have to do to seal the oil in the walls, in the floor, or if it's pesticides, under the floor. And then when that's all done, you have to have the man who did the spill come in and have a chemical test made, which runs about $1,000, and to prove that the chemicals are no longer in the atmosphere so that you won't breathe it. And that goes in with the escrow.
My goodness, I think we're overcomplicating things. Isn't that something like overkill to you?
No, because I already have chemical poisoning, and it's a hell of a life.
do you really believe that the oil smell in the house will give somebody chemical poisoning?
Of course. Have you breathed the gasoline at the gas stations lately? It's mostly toluene. Anyway.
You don't breathe gasoline in gas stations in my state.
You don't breathe?
No, because they aren't allowed to do that. They have a special thing that goes over the top of the tank and sucks the fumes in.
Jeez, I had to move to your state.
But that means an extra penny a gallon for your gasoline.
Well, if it's your health.
But I just can't believe that most people would be affected by the fumes from fuel oil in the house.
Well, none of us really know how much we're getting in the air, and
I suppose. And
maybe there's no way that would kill me. Huh. So I wouldn't. I would have to take necessary.
Wouldn't be a good house for you. That's true. So what's happening with your moving company?
All right, I had my stuff moved to the dock or to the moving company October 6th. And
what kind? This is household goods?
Yeah. Well, it was my very necessary equipment, some of my orthopedic, my walker, and a few things because I am disabled. It should have been here not later than 6.5 days after I arrived. But I got
where was it coming from?
Hawaii.
Okay.
And the company I picked had good recommendations, but the shippers and the packers weren't talking. So it seems like they didn't pack the TV and my things right. So they were arguing about a $50 container, which I didn't know about until too late. Mm-hmm. So I kept waiting and waiting and waiting for the stuff to come. And I kept calling, and nobody would tell me where it was. And the second load was to come by slow boat. And what to do? I kept calling and calling, and finally my insurance gal said, "Hey, get it off the dock." And I said, "Well, I know, but what about, I've got to get an attorney to get it over here." She says, "Get it off the dock." She says, "If you hire an attorney, it's frozen and you'll never get it." So what I did was finally put it back in storage until I could get on my feet physically. Mm-hmm. So that load is sitting over there, and I sent in I canceled the whole thing. I got my check back last week. But there's so many things missing in the shipment I already have here. Typewriters, radios. Oh, it makes me sick.
Well, this is going to be overly complicated, I got a feeling. It occurs to me that if you did not carry personal insurance, which I strongly recommend to anybody who uses shipping of this kind, with your own broker as contrasted with a shipper's broker, then you got to make a claim against the shipping company. Because they're going to tell you that the packers are going to tell you that the shipper's responsible, and since it was in their care and custody, that's probably the case. Now, whether there are limitations or not, I just don't know the answer to that. And it may be if the sums are substantial that you'll have to retain counsel. If you had your own home and you have a homeowner's policy, clearly, if that coverage is there, that's the route to go, and let them hassle with these other rascals. Jacksonville, Florida, your turn. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
Glad to talk with you.
Oh, I'm glad you called. What's up?
Well, I like your slogan, do the right thing. Maybe you can help me what to do here.
Let us try.
I lost an airline ticket.
You didn't.
I know Bruce's first rule is use a travel agent, and I did that.
Mm-hmm. Second rule is don't lose tickets because it's like losing cash.
The second one is use a major credit card, and I did that.
Yeah, but it still wouldn't matter. You still got to pay for the ticket.
Well, now, let me go on. The travel agent mailed the ticket.
Well, then you didn't lose the ticket.
And I've never received it.
Then you didn't lose the ticket.
All right. What to do? What's Bruce's third rule?
Well, I had this happen not too long ago, really, because we do a lot of our travel agent is in Florida, and of course I'm on the East Coast, and we have offices not only in Florida but on the East Coast and Texas and some other spots. So our tickets get mailed.
And mail regular mail?
Well, very candidly, not anymore. No, we use Federal Express or DHL or somebody. I don't trust the regular mail anymore.
That's what I used to do because I'm in Florida and I have 3 children around the country in school. So they're in distant places and I need to get tickets to them. And I used this agent for the very first time. They said they mailed the ticket on the 8th of January.
The fact is the ticket didn't reach you.
Exactly.
And my position would be the ticket never reached me. I'm not going to pay for it.
So I have a 14-year-old who's being told by my travel agent to show up at a metropolitan airport on Friday afternoon
to pick up
a replacement ticket.
Right. Well, like a 14-year-old can handle that.
Will she be asked to pay the extra $50?
I don't know that. Ask your travel agent. Is the travel agent the same town as the 14-year-old?
No, the travel agent is here with me. I used a local travel agent.
Yeah, they're saying the airline is going to issue the ticket.
They say that there will be a second ticket.
Why can't you? Do you have an agency? Meaning, you're in Jacksonville, right?
Yes.
Major airport there.
Yes.
Why can you not go out and have the ticket cut by the airline and you send FedEx it up to your 14-year-old?
Do that myself or tell the travel?
Well, I do it when's this all going to happen?
Friday.
I do it myself.
Okay.
I mean, you want to get the job done, don't you?
Exactly.
I get the job done that way, if it's possible.
I can do that.
If the airline has to issue the replacement ticket, if the agent says they can't, I'm not sure why they cannot. Maybe there's some reason why they can't.
I don't know. I didn't ask them.
But any charges involved, it would seem to me the responsibility of the agent, since you never received the tickets.
Okay.
If they want to use U.S. mail and not send it certified, that's their business.
Okay.
This is a hell of a thing to say. The U.S. mail right now is in a shambles. It's probably better than any other place in the country. I paid a mortgage, and I paid a fairly substantial bill. There's no question that the one arrived 2.5 weeks later in this country with a postmark the day that I said I mailed it. The other one still hasn't arrived. Still hasn't arrived.
That is scary.
And, you got to wonder, they deliver billions of pieces of mail. That's true.
But if it breaks apart our responsibility
but the chain, that's right, the chain and
economic chain.
We get a ton of stuff, not a ton, but more than we'd like to see comes through. And I know they automate now. This has been damaged by a machine and so on and so forth. And I just think that the mail system is in a shambles just now. And I think it's going to require some rebuilding. And I suppose that's going to make a lot of people in the postal department unhappy. And it's very true that they handle without any question a ton of mail very efficiently. On the other hand, you'll never persuade me it takes a week to get a letter delivered across town. And yet oftentimes that's the case in a major city like New York City. It takes a week to get it there, and I never understood why.
Well, when it's lost in the mail, that's a bottomless pit.
Beyond that, nobody believes you. Oh yeah, checks in the mail. It's the second or third biggest lie.
Right, sure.
And yet, in this particular case, in my case, I mailed them on the 4th of January, and one was received a couple of days ago, 1,000 miles away, and the other wasn't received at all, as of this morning. And I don't understand that. However,
well, I
would do it, first of all, get your kid there, and then battle out with your travel agent.
Thank you, Bruce.
Take good care. It's frustrating, though. It really is. Frustrating that you have to put up with that kind of nonsense. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. Off we go to Canby, Indiana. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
My wife works for a company that deals in home parties.
Okay.
It's a major company in the U.S.
Sure.
Up until last year, they had 2 divisions. They decided at that time to combine the 2 divisions under one name.
All right.
And she is right now a supervisor. They start out on a sales rep, then it goes to supervisor, then it goes to regional. No, I'm sorry, then it goes to district manager, then regional.
All right, so she's in the second level of management right now.
That's correct. All right, this year they decided that didn't work well, so they're going to split it back up again. And in the meantime, since they combined this, she has hired girls. And now they're going to let those, all the way up to the regional, they're going to let people have a choice of which branch of this company they go back under. Which means,
why would that be?
Well, I'm not sure, but some of the people worked for each branch when it was combined. And
well, okay, so they're going to give them this option. So where we go from there?
Okay, well, my wife's going to lose commission along with a lot of other people in this company.
Why is that?
Any girl that's underneath her that opts to go under the other branch is going to lose.
She's history. Well, I see. Can she recruit others? Or does
she can recruit others, but
why would they leave her? What would be the advantage of going from A to B, or is there an advantage?
One company will be 4-month seasonal, and the other company will run 2 catalogs at 2 different seasons through the year. They probably run at least 10 months a year.
And so the girls that want to work part-time...
The one my wife worked for, the 4-month seasonal, it was actually the biggest branch of the company, and they did she could probably do as much in 4 months as the other company would do in 10. But
well, man, I don't see where she's got much choice in the matter, does she?
No, my only question was it legal for them to take people out from under her?
Oh, sure. Why not?
Well, I don't know. It's just that she spent time and money recruiting these girls, and now she's going to lose it. It just didn't quite seem like that would be legal.
Well, fair, perhaps not. But I'm back to the same thing. Why could she not persuade them to... Is she going to have the short company or the long company?
She's decided to go with the short company.
All right. Now, are most of the women going to go with a short or long?
Well, I would say she'll probably keep 2/3, lose 1/3 possibly.
Well, in that case, I mean, she's made her choice.
Yeah, I just wondered if it was legal or not.
Well, legal, I don't know. I'm not an attorney.
Yeah. I just wanted your opinion.
Your wife is your wife an independent contractor?
Yes.
Why would the people opt to go the other route?
Well, I suppose some women would rather have a regular income all year long or most of the year.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think there's much you can do about that.
Okay.
I mean, the move was probably born of necessity.
Yeah, supposedly their profits were down like 75% this last fall. So
pretty good reason to do something.
Yeah, I think so.
Good luck, kid.
All right, thank you.
Let's go down to Dallas, the Big D. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. It's a pleasure to talk to you. You're a joy to listen to.
Well, thank you so very much.
You and I probably go back in age about the same time.
Nobody's that old.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes listening to you, I can kind of pick up. And anyway, you've talked many times about being an insurance salesman way back when.
This is true.
I'm in the service business.
What do you sell?
Well, do you want me to tell you what I sell?
Sure.
Oh, temporary help.
Okay, nothing wrong with that.
Okay. It's my own company, and it's been real good. It's a real good business, and I enjoy it. I make sales calls. That's part of my thing, is to do. In the days of gone by, we can go out and see the people and hit them, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We can sell them a service. You could see the people. They weren't hiding behind anything, or they weren't out to meetings or behind whatever.
The interminable meeting.
Right.
He's in conference.
You got it.
Don't you love that?
As soon as they find out who you are. Okay. Now, the thing now, today you can't do that. I mean, it's almost impossible to go knock on doors and make cold calls. It just really is difficult.
Well, it's difficult, not impossible.
Okay. It's hard to do. So I do it on telephone. And I'm not as young as I used to be, so it's not so easy to get in and out of the car and run around and do all these little calls. Okay, so I do it on the phone, and the phone's been pretty good up until about now. You can't get through the telephone because you get a phone mate, or you get some kind of recording that comes on the phone and says, leave your number.
Electronic mail and so on and so forth.
You got it. And how would you handle...
I don't know how you get past that. I really don't.
Really?
I'd be looking someplace else to do business.
It's just forget about that call in.
Like in the clubs.
Yeah.
Like in the bars. Like in the service organizations.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places you can meet people.
But just forget the telephoning.
And I'll tell you something. That electronic mail, I think, ought to be destroyed.
Terrible.
There's nothing I like more than to make a call for 3,000 miles and have some stupid machine pick up in the middle of business day.
Mm-hmm.
And unless I'm not at my desk right now, leave a message. I'll leave you a message. I'm not doing business with your company anymore. That's my message. And figure out who I am.
Well, see, they get mad if they call our office and not during office hours, and they get the answering machine. Well, we're not there before 8.
Off hours, I have no problem. But during the day, there ought to be somebody alive. I do wish you well. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Quick reminder, tomorrow, 2 to 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. We'll be here taking your calls off the air. Usual phone number, 800-TALKNET. All righty, what happened to line C there? You just locked me out. Well, I didn't know I did that. Well, all right. Houston, you rascal. Houston, Texas, hello.
How you doing, Bruce?
Okay.
Had a question. In fact, I'm faxing my insurance policies to my insurance agent right now. He just changed companies after being with this one for about 15 years.
Are we talking about a casualty insurance agent?
We're talking, life insurance.
Okay.
A major mutual company that has been around since day one.
Well, you're not going to change life companies because he changes, are you?
Well, I don't know.
No. The answer is no.
Well, he is offering what looks to be, he's gone to another major company, but offering what looks to be the same type of deal at the same type of premiums.
Is this whole life or term?
This is either whole life or adjustable whole life.
I can't imagine he can come back in with a whole life policy 15 years after the fact at the same rate. It's hard to believe. This policy's been in force for 15 years.
Some of them I've had since 1973.
I can't imagine that can be the case.
Okay.
Because you've been paying. How old are you?
38.
So you were paying higher rates when you're young, so you pay lower rates when you're older in whole life.
Right.
How in the world are you going to duplicate that?
I don't know. That was my question, too, when I met with him for 2 hours the other day, and you know how insurance salesmen are.
Well, they're just like the rest of us trying to make a living.
Absolutely.
But the point is that, and I can't tell you definitively that isn't possible, but I would doubt it very seriously.
Yeah. I didn't know, when it comes to insurance agents, whether it's better to follow an agent that serviced you well or...
Well, that's fine with that. It's fine with casualty insurance. But I can't imagine he can duplicate a 20-year-old whole life policy.
Absolutely.
At your attained age. If he wants to sell you some additional insurance, if you need it, that's a different matter.
Yeah.
But you'd have to really do some heck of a persuasion on me to get me to drop what I already had, with all of the things that are involved in this.
Yeah. Well,
including, among other things, the contestable period.
Yeah.
Which right now, they got to pay if something happens to you.
Yeah.
If you take a new policy out and they could take the position that, well, you already had that disease and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All the way around, I wouldn't drop I can't imagine what would persuade me to drop the old policies.
Can I ask you one other quick question?
Sure.
Leasing versus purchasing an automobile.
By and large, the leasing advantages have diminished with the tax laws.
Mm-hmm.
There are some cases where it pays.
Okay.
The major advantages are you don't have to put much money up front, which is a problem for some people.
Sure.
And it doesn't show as a liability on your balance sheet if you're worrying about buying a house or getting a bond or something of that kind.
Okay.
But more often than not, it costs you more money than outright purchase.
I hear you.
But it also doesn't subject you to the jeopardy. 3, 4, 5 years, and 3 be my max. You can hand it back to them. It's their problem.
Yeah, I just wondered about, the serviceability over the life of the car, that sort of thing.
Well, it depends on the deal. You can get full service, no service.
Sure.
There's all kinds of permutations.
Mm-hmm.
I do wish you well.
Thanks a lot.
Let's go to Pensacola, Florida. I knew you'd be there somewhere. Hello.
Hi.
Hello there.
New-time listener, first-time caller.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I run a small amusement business.
What does that mean?
Well, what it is I run what I do is I take a video camera, I take a picture of a person, and within 30 seconds to 2 minutes, I put it into a button or a keychain or put it on a T-shirt, that sort of deal.
Novelty business.
Right. And what I've come into is in the Florida Panhandle area, I'm looking to rent a space for the summer. Mm-hmm. And they've talked about percentages for rent. With that, the rent, the sales tax, the town tax, and the utilities. Mm-hmm. And that totals up about 23.5%.
That's pretty cheap.
You think that's a good deal?
Well, I mean, you're working on probably on a 60 or 70% markup on that stuff at least, are you not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad deal at all if you got a high volume of traffic. That's what you're paying for. Strictly traffic.
Yeah, I thought it was a good deal, but, I've heard you, and you seem to be right on the ball with stuff, so I figured, hey, why not ask you?
Well, I appreciate the call. All depends on the volume you can do there. If you're in an amusement area, high-traffic area, chances are that's okay. Yeah, let's face it, you can't get hurt except for your time.
That's the one benefit, but I wondered if there was any drawbacks. Do you see any drawbacks?
Well, there are always, look, if you could cut a deal, let's give you 2 examples, all right?
Mm-hmm.
For $1 a week.
Yeah.
And you did $100 a week, clearly $1 a week would be a very good deal for you.
Right.
But if we cut the same deal for $1 a week and you did $2, you only did $2 worth of business. Now you're paying 50%.
Yeah.
They become your partners. If you do well, they do well. I have no problem with that.
Okay. Hey, thanks a lot, Bruce.
Take good care, my friend. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. Reno, Nevada. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Bruce. How are you tonight?
I am real well, thank you.
Really enjoying your show all the way down from Lake Tahoe into Reno on the way home.
Via KOH.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
Right. I have kind of a moral dilemma, and I go by your advice quite a bit. I respect your advice, and I'd just like to get your input or maybe some of your listeners' inputs. My wife and I, she lives back in Minneapolis. I'm here in Reno because of the job. Mm-hmm. We've been having some problems the last couple of years. Thought we had them ironed out. And in the interim, about last September, she met another man.
This is while you're married?
Yes, we're still married.
Okay.
She has seen him. He does not live in Minnesota. He lives in a southern state.
Right.
But comes up to see her about once every month and a half. Sends her gifts, flowers, and so forth. We are very honest with each other, and she's told me all about him. Very, successful businessman, hard worker, so on and so forth. I'm an investigator.
Are you guys separated?
Not legally, no. Now, he apparently has been working on her or talking with her, and a couple weeks ago she asked me if I would agree to a divorce on the premise that we would get along much better as long as she didn't have this thing hanging over her head.
What thing?
The marriage.
I never heard it described as a thing before.
Well, I was starting to say that the marriage license, a piece of paper, she said she'd be, she would feel much better.
Are there children?
Modern woman. She has a good job. She makes approximately $40,000 a year.
Are there children involved here?
I have stepchildren. The youngest was only like 9 months old.
I mean, she has children.
Yeah, she has children.
You do not.
All mine are grown and gone.
Okay.
They're on their 20s.
All right.
Okay, as I said, I'm an investigator, and I did some investigating and found out that this guy is a complete phony. He's had 3 wives, very poor reputation in where the state he lives. He's moving around, dodging creditors, so on and so forth. My dilemma is, should I tell her or give her this information, or should I just keep my mouth shut and hope for the best?
Well, let's take the worst case scenario. What do you think this guy is capable of doing?
Well,
what you say he's got this bad background. What is this bad? He's got
it's not really a bad background. He is just, lied to her right and left. He told her he was married for 23 years. His wife left him, so on and so forth. I found out he's been married at least twice and possibly 3 times. He got the last divorce just about 8 months ago. He has had actually a very poor credit background, several repossessions, a home repossession, judgments, not at all the image that he is putting out to her.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I don't want to get into too much detail.
Well, you see, the guy is not what he says he is.
Right.
All right. I mean,
he's a phony.
You still care for your wife.
I love my wife.
I'd be honest. You've done what a lot of guys would like to do.
Well, you make it sound very simple. I thought I had a big problem, but perhaps
it may be a problem. I'm not going to tell you it may not be. If there's some people that are going to be prejudiced against you for dropping out, there's others who are going to be who will envy you, and there's still those who be realistic. But I don't. If you said 6 months, you can cover that up.
Right.
But 7 years, no.
Well,
see, the problem is if you try to cover it up, somebody's liable to think, oh, that guy was in the slammer for 7 years. Or, he was
that's what I was thinking your producer was going to think when
locked up on a funny farm or something. You see.
Right.
So better you play it straight.
I have had just a couple of businesses that I can't really call them businesses, but sidelines that I've been involved with, that have been providing income, but nothing that I think would look appropriate on a resume.
I'd rather just say I decided since I was young enough and had the wherewithal, I decided to rest and regroup and take a sabbatical.
That sounds terrific. You make me feel better, and I certainly appreciate your advice.
I hope it works out well, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Take good care.
Bye-bye.
I'm Bruce Williams. Agree or disagree? I'm delighted you've stopped in. This is Talknet. Prescott, Arizona. Hello there.
Bruce.
Hi.
How are you today?
I am just fine, thank you.
I've been listening to you ever since, before you had that problem with your airplane.
Well, that goes back a few years, too. This is Old Timers Day here. What's up?
I got a very minor problem here. I get a thing from a credit card, a gold credit card, no annual fee, no information from me at all, just pre-approved for $10,000.
Right, this is like a Visa or a MasterCard.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a Visa. Is there a gimmick to that thing?
No.
The fact that everybody's trying to get in the sector.
It's a very competitive area right now. The issues of credit, and it's a very profitable area.
I see.
And the no annual fee is probably for the first year only.
No, this says no annual fee, period.
Well, it still may be for the first year only.
I see.
There's nothing to prevent them from changing the rules.
That's true. Well, okay.
Is this from for example, I got one of these a while ago from the card company that I already had a Visa card with. And they said, no extra charge, get a gold card. So they changed colors from blue to gold. I don't care.
Is there any advantage to that?
None that I could see. Because, for example, on the gold card that I have with the bank, they do throw in collision if you rent the car and so forth, right?
They have all this on here.
But I don't do that. I don't rent my cars
that's the way I am
on that card. I rent my cars on a business card.
That's it.
So for me, I don't see any great advantage or disadvantage. I mean, now I got, different colors. It used to be they're all green and they're all blue. Now they're platinum and gold. And
okay, you've answered my question. I have one little a trivial question.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we used to refer to $1,000 as a grand.
Yeah.
And now you folks call it K's. How'd that come in?
Well, K is kilo for 1,000.
I see. Okay.
Take good care.
Thank you, Bruce. Bye.
Springfield, Oregon. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Yeah, what I was calling about, on top of my business, I own a laundromat here in Springfield, and we lease some space, a 12 by 24 space on top of our roof for a billboard. And we've been receiving a certain amount for that space for about 5 to 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was wondering is how would we come about to figure out if we should be getting more money for that?
Negotiate.
Well, we've been doing that, and they've been agreeing to everything so far. But do we charge them like what we're paying per square foot here?
No.
For
I mean, I don't know the answer to that.
You don't know?
Well, here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
If you got a space for a billboard where 25,000 cars an hour pass by, that's a very valuable space, probably worth more than the damn building is worth.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, if you got one on a relatively low traffic area, it has a value, but nowhere near that value.
Yeah.
If you're in an area, wait a minute, if you're in an area where they no longer allow billboards, but you're grandfathered in, then that becomes a lot more valuable. There's a lot of variables here. I can't give you an answer without knowing the answer to some of these things.
Yeah. Okay.
So your building may be right next to an interstate with a zillion cars going past.
Yeah, it's right downtown with 3 main streets right in front of it.
Well, it should be a fairly valuable space. What are you getting paid for it?
Right now, it was $250, and they sent us a
$250 or what?
Huh? $250 per year.
Per year?
Per year.
Oh, no, you're getting underpaid.
And so we sent them the increase and told them we want $500 per year and go year by year. See, they wanted a 10-year.
Yeah.
We said, no, we just wanted to go year by year.
Yeah. What do they charge for that billboard?
What do they charge?
Yeah, there must be an echo here. What do they charge? If I wanted to rent space in the billboard, how much?
I don't know.
Well, why don't you find out?
Okay.
You call them up and have somebody or one of your friends call. I'd like to rent that billboard on the corner of Main and Day. How much?
Yeah, it is a national company. Well, I mean, all over the United States.
Hold on. That doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
I'm only concerned with one lousy billboard, yours.
Mm-hmm.
Find out how much it rents for. That'll give you an idea of its value. If they're charging $10,000 a month or $5,000, who knows?
Yeah, find out how much they're charging and
That's
go
right.
after that.
Exactly so.
Okay. Sounds good.
Knock 'em dead, kid.
Okay, thanks, Bruce.
Sherman, Texas, it's your turn on Talknet. Hello there.
Hi.
Hello.
I've been offered a job down in Dallas, which is about 65 miles away from Sherman.
Yeah.
And I want to know if it would be a better idea to try and sell the house and move closer in, or just buy a high-mileage car and commute.
Well, there's a lot of variables here, and it doesn't all come down to those two that you've thrown at me. First of all, married, single, what?
Married, couple kids, have a daughter that's going to start kindergarten in the fall.
All right. Now, what about the old man? Where does he work?
He works locally here in town.
Well, if you sell the house and move, is he going to have to commute the other direction?
Well, we were talking about maybe moving halfway in between, and then we would both end up driving about a half hour either way.
Well, but all that would do is share the wear and tear on the bodies, because the number of miles driven are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Is that not true?
Yeah, that would be true.
You're spreading it across 2 cars instead of 1.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. The second is the new job worth taking? The third is your husband's job worth preserving? The fourth is whose time is more valuable? Fifth is who enjoys or does not enjoy driving?
Yeah, well, I'm doing a lot of driving in my present job, so the driving wouldn't bother me.
Oh, and another thing is 65 miles doesn't tell me anything, all right?
An hour and 15 minutes.
Well, and that tells me something. But, for example, I commute 50 miles or 49 and a fraction miles each day. Each direction, all right? But that 49 miles in is a nightmare. The 49 miles home is not too bad because it's 11 o'clock at night and the traffic has calmed down a little bit. On the other hand, in parts of Texas, a 60-mile ride is a breeze. You put it in cruise control and you're there.
It's pretty much cruise control a little over halfway, and then once you get right in towards Dallas, then it's more bumper to bumper type.
Indeed, these are all variables.
Yeah.
So there's no clear answer to your question. See, for example, just let's take one area, all right? We even deal with the fact that how much more would it cost to buy a home where you want to go or less. We haven't even dealt with that. And do you like it where you are? We haven't dealt with that as well.
Yeah.
But let's just talk about one thing.
Okay.
It could be that you don't mind driving and your husband hates it. That itself would be enough to say stay where you are. It could be that the other way around. Your husband doesn't mind driving and you hate it. Or it also could be that you are just not physically capable up to driving it, or your husband may not be capable physically. All variables.
Oh, I see.
Write them all down, then you make a decision.
Okay. Do a 2-column for and against.
It looks to me like it'd be a lot of columns here before you get done.
Okay.
I wish you well, love.
Thank you.
All righty. Saginaw, Michigan. I had a very pleasant visit with you guys not too long ago.
All right. Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Nice talking to you.
Thank you.
I have a small business, and I have a 1-year lease agreement, and it's coming due shortly. The landlord's informed me that the rent on this is going to come up, substantially, that we feel. It's a seasonal business, and everybody I've talked to seems to think that we're definitely not in the driver's seat. She is. And I'm worried that if I negotiate too hard, I might lose the lease, and at which point I'd have to close the business.
Well, in that case, you got to walk a little softly. I want you to hold on a minute. Let me be. I'm chatting with a gentleman that has what kind? You said seasonal business. I don't think you told me what kind.
Well, it's a ice cream shop.
All right. And that your lease is up, but apparently it's a fairly desirable property.
Well, not that desirable.
What does that mean?
Well, it's got a few problems, but
well, it doesn't every place.
Yeah, but we're not financially set to do any major improvements to make it look better than it is.
Well, the point being that if she can get more elsewhere, what would be the incentive to keep you there?
Well, we've done some major improvements to the building.
Without regard to that, that doesn't put any more money in her pocket. I want to know.
But that makes her property more favorable, because when we moved into it, it didn't.
But that's history. What do you expect her to be grateful?
Well, not really.
Then that's history.
Well,
what I'm getting at is what you asked. You put it pretty well. You said, look, if I try to negotiate too hard, she'll just say, to heck with you, I'll give somebody else.
True, which would kill us, because it's a seasonal business, and this is our season. Period. So we have no bargaining power. We can either
in that case, you got to pay what she asks or get out.
Bottom line, huh?
Yeah. So it seems to me there's a lesson.
No negotiating on my part, then.
Look, you're the guy who's telling me that she's in a very strong position. I can only go by what you tell me. If she's in that strong a position, you tell me what the answer is.
I wish I knew.
No, yes, you do know.
Well, I do, but
pay her what she wants.
Huh?
Pay her what she wants. And if you can't afford, then you're gone.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where you can afford it at certain times of the year, but then after that, it's...
Well, what do you mean you can afford? You're buying it. You're leasing on an annual basis, aren't you?
True, but that's nothing that we really want to do.
Well, what do you want to do? Lease it in the summertime?
I want to do it just a seasonal. I don't want to do...
Well, wait a minute. What do you expect you to do? Keep it empty, waiting for you?
No.
Well, what then? You're being unreasonable. Like, I have a home that I lease in the summertime, right? Would you expect me to lease it on the same basis for the 3 months as I would get it on a 12? And let it sit empty for the 9?
No.
Well, then but that's what you're asking her to do, or you'd like her to do.
I don't expect that. We've discussed this as far as what we wanted to drop out of the business. And
what do you mean by that?
Well, we don't want to be in business any longer. The location we're at is not a good location from what we've heard from our clients. And
what do you mean your clients?
Well, our customers, people that we see on a daily basis.
Well, so why don't you open a business someplace else?
Well, we're just not financially set to do that.
What do you do the rest of the year?
Well, I work on another job. I don't want to get into too many details.
Yeah.
But I work another line of work during the off season, and even that's seasonal. I seem to work more in the winter, and it works out decent. But we're not really getting anywhere.
Well, if you're not getting anywhere, why would you bother? How much do you make in the summertime for you when it's all done and said?
Right now, we're not making anything for us.
Well, why would you bother then?
Well, I guess when you throw your money at something and you've got your money tied in.
How much money you get tied in there?
Oh, probably about $27,000.
And in what way? Most of that in leasehold improvements or in equipment?
It's in equipment, mostly in equipment.
Move the equipment someplace else. If it's not doing it at that location, why would you want to exacerbate a bad situation?
You see where we're at, though. We're coming into our season where we could make a little bit of money.
Well, you told me you're not making any money.
Well, we don't make money in off season.
Oh, man, you're talking at cross purposes. Did you make any money last year?
Well, book-wise, we ended up in the black.
How
but
far
we didn't pay ourselves any money to speak of.
I want you to hold on a minute. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I take it you are young and
reasonably.
You're clearly not experienced in business.
Well, no, that's not my background.
Well, but obviously, all right, let's start with a premise, okay?
Okay.
If you're for example, you're in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
You ever been up to Mackinac Island?
No, I haven't.
You know where it is, though.
I do know where it is.
Okay. Do you think those people rent those stores just for the summer and pay to rent for the summer? No, they pay a rent for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether it's empty or not is nobody's concern.
Right.
You rent it for the year. The same thing is true with any seasonal enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
So you're thinking in terms of the season. The season's meaningless from the point of view of the landlord. That building is there 365 days a year.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to pay rent on it 365 days a year.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you choose to use it all that time, it's your problem.
True. Well, we have paid. Well, we were shut down for a few months. We never have missed our
I understand that, but I mean that's not unusual. That's the way life is. All right. Okay. You had it last season.
Right.
So you got the rest of the year is the penalty for being in a seasonal enterprise.
Sure. Yeah,
so don't worry about that.
Right.
Now, if you on the one hand you didn't make any money, the other hand you did make money. Which is it?
We didn't.
Well, if you didn't, why do you want to pursue it? Why do you want to continue? If you didn't make it last year, what makes you believe you're going to make it this year?
Well, I guess I'm speaking in terms of, you see, when you're in this type of business and you're open a full year, okay, you do have 3 or 4 good months. Then you
please, I don't care about that. At the end of the year, did you make any money or did you not?
We broke even, actually.
Well, you didn't make any money.
Okay, well...
Why would you want to do that?
Well, we've got everything invested now for the year.
Well, no, you didn't. What you're telling me, you walked in with very little money and you paid off your debts.
Yeah.
Well, that's making money.
Well, all our monies are paid to us. We put the initial investment in the company, and then we were paying ourselves back.
Well, then you made money then. What do you expect to have a business with no capital investment?
No, I don't expect that at all.
Then you made money.
Yeah, well,
either you did or you didn't. You made money. Now, the fact that you spent the money to pay off the loans, even though the loan was from yourself, doesn't change anything. You made... How much money did you pay yourself back last year?
Well, I think we got a W-2 for $2,800. That's just...
No, the W-2 is a different matter. How much did you pay yourself back on your capital investment?
Probably 10 to 12.
Then you made $10,000 to $12,000 plus $2,800. That's what you made.
Yeah. But
less the cost of the money. It's all you can figure is the cost of the money.
Right.
If you had $28,000 invested, $2,800 is all you can figure.
My other question is, since we do want to drop out of the business, although we do have advertisements out, we have, our season is starting. I know that doesn't mean much to you, but it's
not a question of what it means to me.
I know. I think you're talking from a landlord's perspective. I'm talking from a tenant's perspective. I am looking to drop out. Now, I'm willing to give things to this person.
What do you want to give to him?
The improvements I did, because the contract stipulates that whatever I did to the building...
Well, you're not willing to give it to him. They belong to him.
No, not according to my contract.
What then?
I'm talking, improvements that make the building stand out. I mean, I don't want to go into details. You're really popular in this area.
Can you take those improvements away if you choose to?
Yes, I could.
You can unscrew them and go with them?
Yes.
What value do they have to you?
None.
And it's going to cost you money to take them off.
Well, it'd be my own time. But what I'm saying is now that I'm coming up to a renewal, could I use that as a bargaining tool to say, hey, we're not doing well in this business, and we would like to get out, but we've expended money, and we're looking to go through this season and help ourselves pay ourselves back more money, and then drop out of the business.
Yeah, but then he's going to say,
we will give you X number of items to leave with the business or with the building.
Yeah, but he's going to say you only want to pay the rent during the summer. Is that it?
Well, we're willing to go more than almost through the end of this year. So, and we're only looking at 3 or 4 months.
Can he? That isn't the issue. From what you're telling me, this store is not worth anything in the wintertime.
That's true.
Then it's only the summer he's got to grab his dough.
Right.
Now, you told me that he could rent it to somebody else.
Well, that's what we've been told, but honestly, I don't
that's
believe
the crux of the thing. But they cut through all the crap. That's the crux of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
If he has other alternatives, he's a fool not to take them. If he has none, you're a fool not to press him. But you better know what you're talking about.
Right, because if I press too hard, I'm going to lose this. And
not necessarily. If he has no alternatives, you won't. If he has alternatives, you will.
Question is, how do you know?
Well, that's now you're learning how to be a poker player.
I never played poker, though.
Well, you better learn, kid.
Yeah, I've only got a couple weeks to do it, too.
That's what it's all about. You better find out what his alternatives are. Little look around the neighborhood. I got to turn you loose, but how many other stores are for rent around there in the summertime?
In our area, it's not too many.
In that case, he's in a strong position. Somebody else will want to sell ice cream.
It's not a high volume area, though. We're in an area where it's a state highway going through the area, and it's very, very fast traffic.
Doesn't matter. All I want to know is
business-wise in this area. People that we have talked to, business owners in this area, say that business climate is very slow in this area, which we can attest to.
Well,
because we only have certain times of the day we do good business.
Well, I understand that. But you're refusing to come to grips with if the man has, or the woman, or whatever that is, has alternatives, they're going to exercise them. If they don't, then they're going to deal with you. And I suspect they know more about the area than you do. It's up to you to get a very quick education. Welcome to the wonderful world of business, Tiger. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Wichita, Kansas. Hello there. Whoops. I got to push the wrong button there, and now I got Wichita. Hello there.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi, Bruce. I got a problem with a former employer, and I want to see if there's anything I can do about it.
Let's talk.
About 2 months ago, I was terminated from my job after a year of being there.
What did you do?
I was a copywriter.
What, for like a television station, radio station or something?
It was advertising agency.
Okay. Why did you get canned?
They told me that I just did not perform up to their expectations, and I didn't necessarily agree, but it was all right for me to get out of there. I was looking to get out anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me also that they were going to tell the staff and that I would left because of a mutual understanding.
Yeah, that would be that's a gracious way to let it go.
Right. I come to find out just yesterday from one of the staff members that I still know and am friends with that they actually told the staff that I was let go due to negligence. And in this business, word travels fast.
Every business.
Huh?
Every business.
Yes. But it could easily prevent my getting another job, and I have used them for references in my job search currently.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wonder, since that's a pretty strong charge, whether there's any recourse I have to try to rectify the situation or keep them from damaging my reputation.
Well, you see, we got a problem with that, don't we?
Yeah.
The problem being that they didn't say you were a thief, right?
Right.
They didn't say you didn't come to work on time. Right. What they talked about was an evaluation, which is a very subjective thing, isn't it?
Yes.
And what was the term they used?
Negligence.
What does that mean?
Well, to me, it sounds like kind of a goof off and not good at your job, basically.
Well, see, there's a difference.
How so?
Well, because not good at your job is very subjective, isn't it?
Yes.
Where goofing off is something that you could point anecdotally to saying, well, you know, for 4 hours they stood by the water cooler or whatever. And it would seem to me that since they are using very subjective terms, There's not much you can do about that. Now, have you discussed this with a guy or gal or whatever?
No, I haven't.
Let's put it another way. How long ago did this happen?
2 months ago.
Are you working?
Not yet.
Are you looking?
Yes.
Have you been denied because of what you can perceive to be a bad reference?
Not that I know of.
Did they give you a letter? Did they give you a letter of recommendation?
No.
Did you ask for one?
No.
Well,
They just said I'd feel free to use them as a reference. They would not say anything negative about me.
Well,
That's the
perhaps
words on the street.
Well, how do you know the words on the street? You talk to one person.
Well, I was going to try to talk to some more people if that would help my situation any. I was considering.
No, yeah, that's going to work. That's going to worsen your situation. Why would you want to pour gasoline on the fire?
Well, what concerns me is just getting another job, and if it's
I understand that, but the point is that did they say this? I can't imagine they're walking around the office every day. Hey, remember Mary Ann left 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago?
Well,
it might have been passed as a one-time proposition.
This is to the entire staff, though.
What, at a meeting?
Yes,
How many times?
just the once, as far as I know.
I'd let it alone if it were me.
Okay.
Because all you're going to do, it's like the whole story about, today's newspaper wraps tomorrow's fish.
Yeah.
Who cares what they said 2 months? In terms of your coworkers, do they really give a damn about you?
I hope not.
No, I mean your history. You're out of sight and you're out of mind. But if you go raising the stink, everybody's going to remember it, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think were me, I'd forget it.
Okay. If I should find out they've been saying this to potential employers, is there anything I can do?
Not a whole lot.
Okay.
You see, now the laws have become more and more favorable toward employees. And most employers are pretty careful what they say. They'll say nothing, but they don't say anything negative.
Okay.
But if I were you, and unless you find they're really coming down heavy, you'd better off to ignore it.
Okay.
Because we're back to the today's newspaper, tomorrow's fish.
Right. Well, I appreciate your advice, Bruce. I respect your opinion.
I know it's hard to do that, but I think you'd probably be better advised. If you find they're really saying some bad stuff, that's a different story.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Bruce.
I wish you well, honey. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. This is Talknet. Let's go now to Tampa, Florida, home of WSUN. Hello.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello there.
Thanks for keeping me company on my way home every night.
Well, I am delighted we can do so.
Have a mother-type problem here.
Mm-hmm.
Mother opened a savings account for her son a number of years ago. And at that time, a California bank that was paying a higher rate of interest than where we were living at the time.
Right.
And made deposits into the account for several years, say. Then neglected to do so. And when I moved to Florida, I went to my local bank and asked them to transfer the funds from California here to a Tampa bank.
Mm-hmm.
When they sent off for the account, they were given a notice that the account was closed. Well, I still had the passbook in my hand, and it was still an open, viable account.
Well, maybe yes, maybe no. When was the last time you made a deposit or took your book down to have interest credited?
Well, that I could only do it by mail because we never did.
Without regard to that, when was the last time you had interest credited in the book or made a deposit?
Okay, it would have been about 6 or 7 years.
I got news for you. You know who got that money?
Oh, no.
State of California.
There's no way.
Oh, no, I didn't say that. You can get the money back.
Okay.
But you can't get any interest on it for the 6 or 7 years.
Even if I get the money back, I'd be grateful for that.
Well, that's easy enough to do. How much money's involved?
Oh, about $200.
Or you can write to the state of California.
State of California.
And I believe that is called S-Cheat, if memory serves me. They have a special department somewhere in Sacramento.
Okay.
And they will give you a claim form.
Uh-huh.
And where the money has been, I'm sure what's happened is the money has gone to the state.
Okay.
And they a whole department just ready to return that money if you can prove it belongs to you.
I don't know. Well, probably that passbook would be enough.
Probably so. Yeah.
And I just write to.
You'll write to the. I believe it's called S-Cheat.
S-Cheat.
But you write to the Department of the Banking in California.
In Sacramento, California.
Sacramento. And explain the circumstance. You'll get bounced around, and they'll send you some form you fill out. You get your money back.
Well, my son thanks you, and I certainly thank you.
But you see, do you understand the reason for that?
Well,
they say, look, you're earning the money. You're a big boy now.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, you're not acting like one.
Why is that?
Because you don't need it. What can I tell you?
Well,
how much is this car going to cost?
The list price was.
How much is the car going to cost?
I'd have to finance about $11,000.
That isn't what I asked you. Financing me. I want to know how much is the car going to cost?
$17,000.
You're going to spend over a half a year's pay on a car.
Well, after
you're going to spend over. What difference does it make? Trade-in. That's still dollars.
Yeah.
You are going to spend over a half a year's pay on a car.
Okay, so what should I do? Should I just buy some car that that's $5,000?
As I said to you a moment ago, you're looking for some kind of an extension of your sexual activity.
Uh-huh.
I mean, really, you're not looking for transportation because clearly you don't need a sports car. But no, wait a minute, you don't. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Uh-huh.
I think it's time that you addressed it though in your own mind. What this really is. Let's take a little time out here. We'll Western regroup and you and I'll continue, okay?
Okay.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. You may not agree with what I'm going to say. This is Talknet. Berg, Pennsylvania. He wants to buy a new car. I have no problem with that, and certainly the automobile industry can use his business. On the other hand, his family says, why don't you do something smart like put the money into a house? And on the one hand, you tell me your mother's very comfortable with the situation. On the other hand, she wants you to buy a house to get out of the house. Now, that's a contradiction there, isn't it?
Well, it's not that she sort of is like, well, your sister thinks you ought to buy a house. You know?
What your sister thinks is unimportant. The point is it smart to go out? Well, listen, hold it.
Okay.
Is it smart to go out and spend half a year's pay on a car? The answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
It really isn't. That's half a year before taxes, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the new tax laws, you're only going to get a minor percentage of the interest as a deduction, and next year nothing. So nobody, you can't even argue that, well, I'm going to get a little tax advantage out of this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't use the car for work, so you can't say, well, by golly, as a security salesman, I got to drive a good car for my clients.
Mm-hmm.
This is strictly a very expensive toy.
Okay.
Now, if somebody went out and bought a car for $50,000 or $60,000, would you say that's kind of outrageous?
Yeah, but if they can afford it.
Well, that's not the issue. If guy makes $100,000 a year, should he spend $50,000 on a car? We'd be putting a rubber room, in my opinion.
Well,
personal opinion. But if you want to spend it, son, it's your money. That's what it comes down to. Do I think it's prudent? How can anybody think that's prudent?
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side of that, hey, if you're ever going to indulge yourself, maybe now's the time. You get yourself tied up with a wife and a couple of trolls. There will be these sports cars in your future for a long time.
Uh-huh. Okay.
You know, you're looking for somebody to tell you you're doing a smart thing.
Well, I'm just looking for someone to, I mean, I could make the payments with no problem.
That is, you're falling into a sophomoric attitude now.
Well,
make the payments. Life is not just a matter of making the payments.
Mm-hmm.
Really. I mean, I'm picking on you, but deliberately so.
But then life isn't really being with a car that I'm not happy with and hating to drive it too.
Oh, well, no, wait, now you're not even sophomoric. You haven't achieved being a sophomore now. Having a car you'd hate to drive.
Well,
cut me a break.
It's something that this is the car that I want. This is what I would save for, and this is like my car. This is,
Well, we're back to the same thing. A car is not a car to you. It's a lot more than a car. Now, if you're willing to admit that, that's fine. The primary function of a car, my friend, is to get you from point A to point B.
To some people.
The primary function of an automobile is to get you from point A to point B.
Uh-huh.
Is that not true?
Well, yeah, but that's where we're not agreeing on.
I said primary function.
Yeah. Okay.
What is the primary function of a car?
That is the primary function.
Okay. Secondary is to impress people and so on and so on.
Well, to do it how you would like, luxury or however. If it's not a sports car, why do people don't need a Cadillac neither?
Well, that's very true. But on the other side of that, if a guy's making $400,000 a year or $300,000 a year, 30 doesn't mean very much, does it?
Mm-hmm.
Would you, if that guy went out and bought a car for $250,000, wouldn't you think he's kind of stretching a little bit?
Some do, though. Yeah, I get your point.
Okay. I can't tell you you're wrong.
Uh-huh.
You want to indulge yourself? Go ahead. It wouldn't be my style.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I drive a car cost a lot more than what you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
But I make a lot more than you're making too.
Uh-huh.
And I'd trade with you in a blink to be 25. In a blink. Give you the whole works.
Okay.
Is it smart? No, I don't think so. But if you're going to be stupid, now's a good time to be stupid.
Okay.
Take good care,
Thank
kid.
you.
All righty. A lot of people are going to agree with that. A lot of people disagree. There's no right or wrong. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet.
1-800-TALKNET.
Off we go to Connecticut. Stanford, hello.
Hello, Bruce. It's good to talk to you. I consider, my wife and I both listen to you all the time, and we consider you to be a fairly reasonable person. And we have a question about whether our former landlord is being reasonable.
Uh-huh.
We moved into an apartment here in Stanford a year ago and plunked down the last month and 1 month security. And
the first month is academic. The month's security is, and you see the last month. So you gave him 2 months deposit.
Well, yeah.
Because the first month you're actively occupying the apartment. That doesn't matter.
Right.
Go ahead.
So we've recently moved out, and shortly before.
Stop.
Okay.
Was there a lease?
Yes. Yeah, we moved out at the end of the lease.
Okay, so the lease was satisfied.
Right.
No arguments there.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now that we're all settled into our new place, we were waiting for the refund of our security deposit.
That's the 1 month.
The 1 month, right.
Right.
Okay, and shortly before we had moved out of the old apartment, there was a fire in the basement of that building, and the smoke shot up a pipe shaft into our apartment, which was in the top of the building, and did some minor smoke damage. No big deal. There was a lot of soot on the walls of the apartment.
Now this was there are more than one person in this, more than one family in this building.
Yes.
And the fire was in no way related to your tenancy.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Now, since we moved out, we've received a letter from the landlord stating basically that he felt that the apartment needed to be repainted after we had moved out.
Mm-hmm. How long were you there?
We were there for a year.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, and the apartment was really rather small. It was a 400 square foot apartment.
Boy, that is small.
Well, with real estate prices here, it's what we can get.
Clark Kent used to change his clothes in telephone booths about that size.
What it boils down to is there are a total of about 8 to 10 walls in the apartment.
And that shouldn't be your responsibility.
Well, he's charging us $750 to paint those walls.
Why?
He feels that they needed to be painted.
Well, they may well, but is it if it was because you had written on the walls with crayon, I'd agree with him.
Right.
But if it's a question of there was a fire in the building and there was smoke damage because of that fire, he's clearly wrong.
That's what my wife and I both thought. And what I had a question about, even further than that, was when someone does leave an apartment and there is just ordinary wear and tear on the walls. I mean, he even wrote in the letter that he considered us to be good tenants.
Well, you see, here's the thing. If you were there for 3 or 4 years, clearly the apartment should be repainted for a new tenant. After a year, with ordinary care, I don't think it'd have to be repainted. With ordinary care. Now, I'm putting everything that I'm saying here on the variable that you threw in there, that there was a fire in the building, and that the fire is what caused this wear and tear to the walls. Now, is that an accurate assessment?
Well, yes and no. There was some serious smoke damage in parts of the apartment.
Yeah.
And there was just ordinary wear and tear on.
Well, what's ordinary wear and tear on a wall in a year? It shouldn't be much.
Yeah, well, there wasn't. There really wasn't. And I guess my basic question is it reasonable for us to try to recover or just...
let's think around the corner together. We'll try and be reasonable on Talknet. We're trying to determine what's reasonable in terms of wear and tear in an apartment. You see, when it comes to painting, ordinary use of an apartment would not require it to be repainted, I would think, in the course of 1 year. Mm-hmm. Put another way, have you ever owned your own house or whatever? I mean, do you repaint every year? I don't repaint my home every year, I'll tell you now.
No, not every year.
No, every 3 years the interior gets repainted.
Right. And when we left, really, I thought the only sections of the apartment that needed to be repainted were the ones that had been damaged by the fire.
But if there's damage by the fire, not your responsibility.
Right.
Well, I think I'd go tell a guy that. If not, here we go. Small claims court.
Small claims.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay, then. I appreciate your help.
Take good care, my friend.
You bet.
Reasonableness is the operative term here. I suppose depends on whose horse is being gored here. Buffalo, hello there.
Hello there, Bruce. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yes, sir.
Got an insurance company that's giving me fits.
What kind of an insurance company?
They homeowner and automobile, etc.
All right, a casualty company. Okay.
They have my homeowner insurance with an umbrella policy attached to it.
All right, that's prudent.
The insurance on my 2 automobiles.
Also prudent. Go ahead.
Now, my son, who's single and 34 years of age, lives here at home with us.
All right.
They also have his auto insurance.
Yeah.
Same company.
Okay.
About 2 weeks ago, he got a balance due bill. Now, let me insert right here that the money is insignificant. This is a matter of principle.
Okay.
He got a balance due bill, and as per usual, there was no explanation as to what it was for.
Mm-hmm.
So he sent it back with a question, what's the
why am I paying you guys?
Bill for?
Sure.
Yesterday, he gets a phone call from the insurance company that says that they have arbitrarily increased his liability insurance on his automobile.
When you say increase the rate or increase the number?
Increase the amount of insurance.
I can hear where you're coming from to dovetail with your homeowner's or your umbrella policy.
Right.
Absolutely correct.
It is.
Sure it is. He's a member of your household.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
And
I was going to give him a bad time.
No, there would be a gap in the middle there. If he were to have an accident, he's covered by your umbrella policy. And
even though he's not named in it?
He's a member of your household.
Well, yeah, he's living here.
He's a member of your household.
Okay.
Is your wife mentioned?
No.
She's covered too, isn't she?
Yeah, well, she's
a member of. She's a member.
Her name is on the policy along with mine.
Well, then she is mentioned then.
Yeah, but he's not.
I understand that, but he's a member of your household. It'll be too hard to separate. What they're doing is, in my opinion, the smart thing. And furthermore, he's underinsured if he hasn't got that amount.
Well, they're bringing it up to make it equal with what we're carrying on our 2 automobiles.
Well, but don't you understand why you're carrying on your cars what you're carrying?
$400,000.
No, do you understand why?
Yeah.
Why?
Because if I get sued.
No. I understand that. But do you know why the number 400 got in there?
No.
Because that's the deductible amount on your umbrella policy.
Oh.
And it's meant to dovetail with the umbrella policy.
Oh, I see.
How much did your son have on his car?
He had 200.
All right. So if there was a serious loss, there'd be a hole of $200,000 between the 200 he carries and the 400 deductible on the umbrella policy.
Uh-huh.
That's why they did it. They were absolutely correct.
Okay, Bruce. Thank you much.
Okay, my
Got
friend.
a good show.
Thank you. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. I'm so pleased you're here. This is Talknet. Tampa, Florida. Hello.
Hello there, Bruce. How are you doing today?
I'm real well, thank you.
Bruce, I got a small problem, I think. I recently put a bid to purchase a house in the Tampa area. Mm-hmm. Now, this house has several large trees on the property. On the contract, I put a contingency that I would like to get rid of some of these trees, and the contract would be finalized based on the county issuing me a permit to get rid of these trees.
Yeah, and some certain kinds of trees in your part of the world you simply can't touch.
That's correct.
What's that one tree that cypress?
Right, cypress you can't even touch.
You can't touch a cypress if you're the governor.
That's absolutely correct.
Right.
But these trees are not cypress. They're big Florida pine trees.
All right. Is there a reason why they couldn't be removed?
They said that they're perfectly healthy trees, and they don't have to be removed for me to move into the property. Now,
well, hold on. Who's saying this? The county?
The county, correct.
And you have to get a permit to cut down a tree in your county.
That is correct.
Well, then you got to make a choice. Leave the tree there or don't buy a house.
Oh, don't buy the house. Even if the tree, it could be possibly damaging the foundation of this house.
How's it damaging the foundation?
It is too close to the house, and it may, damage the foundation.
But you see, you're throwing this possibly's may. What does that mean? How do you know that?
just because of the proximity of the tree to the property itself.
Well, if you could demonstrate that it has or is going to cause damage, I think that the county would have a different position.
Okay.
But can you demonstrate that aside from your opinion, which isn't worth much? I don't mean no, it's worth no more than mine.
That's correct.
I mean,
you are the world's greatest expert on your opinion.
On my opinion, but that's all. That's right, not in.
Okay.
But the point is, if you went to a tree expert,
right,
and the tree guy said, yeah, these roots are gonna cause the foundation to collapse, that would be an expert's opinion.
Well, I did have a home inspector inspect the home, and he did say that at least 2 of these trees potentially could damage the foundation of the house.
See, potentially. When? 30 years from now? Tomorrow? When?
Well, he did not say.
But he's going to have to. If he went into... See, I think if you went back to the county...
Okay.
And you have documentation from an expert that says, look, unless these trees are removed in 6 months' time, in my professional expert opinion, they'll be damaged to the foundation. That would be something to hang your chapeau on.
Okay.
But just to say, well, I don't like them there, that's a different story altogether.
All righty.
And I believe that your county is acting wisely and not allowing people to indiscriminately chop trees down.
Well, I mean, there are still like 18 trees left on the property. We're talking a small portion of the trees.
No, I understand that. I'm just suggesting that the idea of having a regulatory agency that doesn't permit people to willy-nilly clear the land is not a bad idea.
Okay.
But I'd go back with that kind of an opinion.
All righty.
Take good care.
Thank you very much.
All righty. To Philadelphia. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Hello, Bruce. Thanks a lot. I got a question for you. I was in banking, mortgage banking in particular, before I went to work for a bank in Connecticut for 9 years, and I got laid off with all the trouble they were having with their investment portfolio, the new FIREA legislation. And I've been looking for a job in banking and not having much luck at all because I'm here in Philadelphia and, you know, with everything going on in the banking industry, I just can't seem to land anything.
Maybe it's time to look in some other area.
Right, and that's what I've been trying to do is get into treasury management at a corporate level.
What does that mean?
Well, get into treasury management, working as a treasurer or for a treasurer in some corporation.
Handling their funds or investing their surplus funds or something?
Right. And I don't know, I'm finding it hard to get past the personnel departments because they see a resume and they see I was mid-management at the bank and I get this overqualification letter when I do get a letter back from the personnel department.
Have you tried doing end runner on the personnel department, i.e. going to the head of the department in question or writing them and forget the resume for pity's sake?
Yeah, I've been going into personnel and...
Well, no, wait a minute. That wasn't what I asked you. Have you tried to do an end run?
Yes, a few places I've tried to do an end run, trying to find out, like calling, just asking who runs their investment portfolio or who runs your cash management.
That's easy to do. And then what'd you do?
And most of the time, you know, they're not looking for anybody, and I'm just trying to network with people.
Well, I understand. Wait a minute. I understand your frustration. But, I mean, how many companies have you done that with?
At least 10.
Well, but how about 100? You're looking for one job.
Right. I mean, that's...
What I'm getting at is that looking for a job is the worst kind of full-time job. I understand that. But easily in a area that is urban as Philadelphia and its surrounding area, you got a ton of industrial parks and whatever, right? There must be at least 100 companies that would have the type of environment you're seeking. Now, it would seem to me that you ought to be on the phone all day, every day, finding...
And even forget to mail in the resume.
I would take the resume and stick it in your ear.
Yeah.
I would send a personal letter to each of the individuals' names that you turn up. You get around, and of course, you got to sell yourself. And that letter is going to be on a very good quality stationery, isn't it?
Right.
Printed stationery. And you're going to address it to the individual, dear Mr. John Smith, not dear to whom it may concern, or department head or whatever. Who needs that kind of stuff? And you got to sell yourself in the first paragraph or two.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the help. I want to tell you, my father listens to you all the time, and that's why he told he told me to call you. I listen to you when I'm in Pittsburgh with him.
And by the way, have you looked around Pittsburgh? That area is coming back like crazy.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to go there next week again. I've been spending split time. My in-laws are in Philly. My family's all in Pittsburgh.
Well, as I said, I know it's tough, but looking for a job has to be a full-time job. 8-10 hours a day. Frustrating, but that's the way to get the job done.
My personal feeling, too, is I want to get out of banking because I think I'm 30 years old now. By the time I reach retirement age, I don't think we're going to have a third as many banks as we have now.
Oh, I don't agree with that. Maybe not by number, but you'll have as many people employed.
Right, but I don't... See, I was in asset liability management, you know, the ALCO committees all these banks have to figure out what they did wrong in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at that stage of management...
That's not a matter, but as far as your comment, though, that there'll be many fewer banks, maybe many fewer corporations, I don't think you'll find any... If anything, I think you'll find more branches and more activity.
Right, but as far as corporations...
Well, but what difference does it make? You're still going to have the same activities going on. I do wish you well, Tiger.
Okay, thanks a lot for your help, Bruce.
I do wish you well. I'm Bruce Williams, yes I am, and this is Talknet. Lafayette, we are here. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
What a famous quotation, huh?
Hi. I'm a first-time caller. I wish it was on better terms that I was calling, but I'm having a big problem, and I need your best advice.
What's happening, kid?
I'm in debt.
How much, and what kind of debt?
IRS, $35,000.
Wow, to the Internal Revenuers, huh?
Yes. I own a business. I've handled it badly, and I have no one to blame. It's just that I just don't know where to go. I have nowhere to turn.
What kind of business?
It's aluminum contracting.
And is this $35,000? I'm afraid to ask, money that you withheld from your employees and so forth?
No, all that's paid. Everybody's paid except for my income. My income was, it was sort of brought higher than what it was really in terms of net salary to me, in a way that when I first started the business, I was paying under the table, and all of that showed up on my income. And not only that, but
wait, hold on. Say that again.
When I first started in business, I would pay people cash, my employees.
Yeah.
I wasn't withholding taxes.
Right.
I was totally legal. And I knew that, but I sort of got into this business without a great deal of interest. I was, working for another larger company, and they went under, and I had to do something to generate the income that I was making at that time.
So what are you earning now? How much?
I'd say probably 30 a year.
So you're in hock for over a year's salary.
Right.
And it's not and taxes, although there are ways. Now, is this all considered income tax?
It's penalties accrued, penalties and interest.
Well, there are ways that can be discharged through bankruptcy.
Well, I'd like to do that, but I've heard you before saying not to do that if there's anything else.
If there is a way around it, I really believe not. But I just want you to be aware of the fact that there are ways. After a certain period of time passes, IRS is not anxious to let people know this, but taxes can be discharged.
Well, I want to work with them. I owe the money, and I want to pay it.
All right.
I'm just saying that they are not giving me any kind of lateral movement as far as being able to make an installment payment plan. Nothing. They just don't want to talk to me.
At what level are you dealing?
Well, it's coming from, I guess, the Atlanta office.
Yeah, but I mean, what level of employee?
I guess I can't answer that question.
Well, you want to get to a higher level employee.
We have...
Well, hold on now. And you shouldn't be doing this yourself either. You ought to send somebody down there to do this.
My tax manager.
A decent tax guy, an enrolled agent, somebody who's plugged into IRS rules, regulations, and most important is not involved emotionally. Because if you're correct, when your instincts are correct, that you'd be much better off to try to get this thing solved, and secondly, that it can be negotiated, and it certainly can be installed.
Yes.
But perhaps not having you do the negotiation yourself.
Yes, I agree. In fact, I called my tax man, and I told him today I need him to act in my behalf. I need him to...
What do you say?
Well, he said, that's fine, but we're going to wait until it comes down to the local placement, wherever those, that representative from Internal Revenue on a local level comes to, find out what the problem is and what method of arrangement we're going to make.
He's the expert. I mean, you put yourself in his hands, but you should not be doing this yourself.
Right. But it's just so much of a cloud over my head.
Oh, it's just sort of Damocles hanging there every day and night. I understand.
Right. One question I wanted to ask you in relationship to the taxes that I owe, the penalties that have been put on top of the initial tax owed. I wanted to ask you, is there a precedent set? If you can tell me yes or no, that would be fine. I'd like to know, has there ever been in the past where they've dismissed the penalties and pay the tax, which I know that I owe. It's just that the penalties are what's killing me. That's what's going to do me out.
The answer is, have some of the penalties been negotiated lower? Yes. Are some statutory? Also, yes.
That makes me feel better.
Take good care, my friend.
One more quick question.
Yeah.
There's one string that's attached, and that's if I should say be the worst case scenario where the IRS wants to come in and just close me down. The house that I live in, it's under my mother's name, and I'm listed on the mortgage. And I make the payment to...
It's in your mother's name. I mean, I don't want to get...
Right.
We get some hairy areas there. Why is the house in your mother's name, and how long has it been that way?
Well, she bought the house originally. I found the house for her as I lived in.
But it's never been in your name.
Pardon me?
It's never been in your name.
Yeah, I'm listed jointly.
Well, it's in your name then, as well as hers.
Exactly.
Then they could attach your half.
Okay.
Take good care, kid.
Thank you.
It's a struggle. But, by and large, it's not smart to go out and do these things yourself, if only because you were involved emotionally. And secondly, the other party can always say, well, let me think about this.
Kept on crocheting. The thing was down to my ankles. People were coming and taking one look and running out. I looked as if I had cobwebs all over me. So about 20 minutes later, the service manager came over and said, I'll try to help you. And I explained it to him, and he said, well, 25% is really a very generous offer. And
For one day, huh?
Yeah, and I said, well, I'll talk to somebody higher up. And so he came back a little while later, and he said he'd go 50%. And I said, well, I'll talk to somebody higher up. And 15 minutes later, the general manager of the area came in, and he said, he listened to my story, and he felt very sympathetic, but he said 50% was very generous, and it was going to be about $400. And I said, well, no, I'll wait. And he said, well, I tell you what I'll do, because I feel sorry for you. We'll pay 75% of the cost. And I said, well, this is Mr. Franispan's dealership, so I think I'll talk to Mr. Franispan. And he said, well, you can't. He's in Florida. And I said,
I'll wait.
I said, I'll wait. I did. I just sat there. I didn't move. I took another Pepsi. I just sat there. I said, I'll wait. Well, he said, he's in Florida. He won't be back for a couple of weeks. And I said, well, I'll wait. So 20 minutes later, Mr. Franispan showed up. And I
Boy, it was a quick trip from Florida, huh?
I said, I thought you were in Florida. And he said, no, I was out to lunch. You misunderstood. So he said, what can I do for you, dearie? Now, it was the dearie that killed him. I can't stand that. So I said, I want a brand new transmission, and I want $1 for every quart of oil I've put in this monster since I was up in Canada. So he said, you've got it. He called down to the service department. He said, pull a car out of the bay, put that car up on the thing, and get a new transmission in it. He pulled
Get her out of here.
He pulled $10 bill out of his pocket and handed it to me. And I thought, now that is a Bruce.
You bet. That's great.
I do have one failure, and I wish you could help me with it.
You never raised your voice either, did you?
No, I didn't. I just sat there crocheting, looking like, Whistler's mother. But, in February, you said that you went on a campaign about getting people off smoking. And I said, okay, for Bruce, I'll try.
Uh-huh.
I was off cigarettes for 2 weeks and managing to survive. I went to the doctor, and he said, oh, did you know you've got cancer? And I said, what? And he said, breast cancer. And I said, oh, fine. I went back to smoking. I mean, I figure I'm going one way or the other. I might as well just keep on smoking and go with it. You got to go with something. But at any rate, I'm so glad to have been able to tell you the success story and how to pull a Bruce, because I didn't have any monster kids that I could take with me.
Yeah, they handled it very, very well, and I would hope that some others will gain from your experience.
They can.
Because it does work.
Yeah, as long as you don't let them bluff you, you're safe. And you just have to be a little bit patient and very irritating.
Congratulations.
Thanks a lot for
How's the medical problem? Is that working itself out?
Oh, I had an operation, and 1 out of 10 women get it, so I got it, saved 9 other women.
You have a great sense of humor. I like you.
I love you, Bruce. Call me baby.
Okay, baby.
Goodbye now.
Take care.
Bye.
Hey, that's what it's all about. Most businessmen are honest, but those, I almost used the word there, that aren't, they deserve exactly what they get. And I got a feeling that owner of that automobile company is going to get more mileage out of this when he goes to cocktail parties and the golf club and so forth. Let me tell you about this broad that came in. He'll get more money out of that than it cost him for the transmission. Sure he will, because reluctantly he's got to admire her. Alexandria, Virginia. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. Thank you for taking my call.
Not at all. What's up?
Well, I work for a U.S. government agency in the Northern Virginia area. Well, actually, I work downtown in Washington, D.C.
Doesn't everybody?
Yeah, just about around here. And I'm fortunate to be in a position where I get transferred lock, stock, and barrel overseas.
Where are you going?
I don't know yet. That's part of the fun of it.
Mystery bus ride.
Yeah, so to speak. When I finally get to go, I'll know. But until then, I really won't know.
Mm-hmm.
But the big question lies in the fact that I will be returning to the Washington, D.C. area, and I don't know what to do with the house that I own.
Well, you left out something.
What's that?
The time frame.
2 to 6 years.
Sell.
Well, but the problem I see is my income is not going to go up with the appreciation of the value of the houses here in the area.
That's making the assumption that they do appreciate.
Well,
I know they are now, but you are one of the 3 places in the country where real estate's still going up.
Right.
The rest of the country is going down.
I understand that.
Well, what makes you believe it couldn't go down while you're gone, and we were not in a position to cut your loss?
Well, I realize the economics of the.
Well, it's all we're talking about is economics.
But I think that in this area, this is sort of recession-proof.
Yeah, they said the same thing about New York and Boston and some other places here 6 months to a year ago.
Okay.
It's not true. It's not a question of recession, by the way. It has nothing to do with recession.
Yeah.
I mean, you take the job market in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, it couldn't be better. I mean, there's just virtually no unemployment.
Right.
But the real estate market is very, very slushy.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other variables in there. Not the least of those was the Tax Reform Act that some of those rascals, your neighbors, forced upon us. Not to mention the overbuilding in many areas. There are other variables involved. And how in the world are you going to keep track of that from West Undershirt when they send you there?
Well.
And who's going to look after the house while you're gone?
Oh, there's tons of these management companies.
That's terrific, and they take 15 points off the top.
Right.
You're asking my opinion, I'd say.
Yeah, okay. But in the corners, you hear all these success stories where the people are retired to having owned 6 or 7 houses, and they sell them all and retire to Tahiti type of thing.
That's all very well, but managing property is a professional endeavor.
Right.
And taking 15 or 10 or 15 and sometimes 20% at the top, you got to have one heck of a fine piece of property to support that and have something left for you.
Well, I wouldn't look at it from an income-generating standpoint, but more of one of appreciation. But if it doesn't appreciate, there's nothing.
Yeah, you are. But what I'm trying to get to, you see, how old are you?
30.
Yeah, well, see, you're at the lousy age. I'll tell you why I say that.
Yeah.
Because all during your lifetime, I'm talking about since you were a little kid.
Right.
Real estate's been going up.
Right.
But that's not normal. It really isn't.
Right.
Well, but you are of a mindset, and I know you're not going to admit this to me, that's what real estate does. It goes up.
No, it doesn't. It goes down. I lived in Louisiana before I moved up here.
Oh, well, then you ought to know about anybody. 50% in some cases it went down, right?
Right.
What are you going to do if you got a lease on the property?
Right.
And it really starts to take a tumble. You're stuck with a lease, can't sell a house.
But I got a place to move back into when I come home.
That's true. How much is the house worth?
$150.
How much do you owe on it?
110.
So you have $40,000 worth of equity.
Right.
How much are your monthly payments?
$1,100.
All right. How much could you rent it for?
$900.
So you got $200 a month negative cash flow.
Right.
On top of that, you aren't done yet. $175 at $200 a month management fee.
Right.
On top of that, you're assuming 100% occupancy, which is never a safe assumption.
Okay.
On top of that, we have maintenance and whatever.
Right.
And on top of that, you can't write it off anymore like you could. None of that.
I thought that was if you were under.
Well, yeah, if you're under a certain income, you can run up. That's right. You're absolutely right. If you're under a certain income, a little bit can come off, but not much. Nothing like it used to be.
Okay.
You're looking at $6,000 a year, no matter how you slice it, net loss.
Right.
Plus, if you took your $40,000 out of there,
right.
If you put it in some kind of a safe investment,
right,
that's going to give you another $4,000 a year income.
Right.
So now we have a difference of $10,000 a year.
Big difference.
If you're gone 5 years, that house has to go up $50,000 for you to be even.
Okay. Well, it's gone up 40 since I've been here.
You paid $110 and got it for you put up with nothing down.
I bought it for $115, and I've got to put 5% down. That's everything. So I'm leveraged, I think, pretty well. It's gone up 40,000.
In how long a period of time?
2 years.
Oh, that's an incredible guy. It's an incredible.
But the thing that scares me is my income won't ever go up enough so that I can cash in and then.
I understand what you're saying, and get back in again the next time.
Right.
And that's a problem.
That's what scares me.
That's a problem. But it's still got to go up $50,000 in the next 5 years to be even.
Okay.
Your choice.
Is there any mechanism where I could have the odds more in my favor to?
I think owning real estate long range, particularly out of the country, unless you're a pro, and I mean a pro.
No, I'm not a pro.
Is a mistake.
Okay.
Now, if you said, well, look, my mother and dad are here and they live next door, that'd be a big difference for them. But not what you're talking about. Not in my opinion.
Okay.
I think there's just too many hazards. Too many variables over which you have no control. And I don't like being in a situation where there are that many variables where I can't control them.
Right. The thing that scares me is coming back.
I know. You made that point. I understand all that.
Yeah.
And that may be, your point is valid.
Yeah. I just don't know what it's worth.
That's a question I can't answer.
Yeah, I don't either.
I wish you well, my friend.
Hey, thanks, Bruce.
Hi, Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. To Providence, Rhode Island. Hello.
Hello, Bruce. This is Tom. We're calling.
Yes, Tom.
How are you?
I'm well.
Thank you, sir. I'm calling about go-kart racing. I heard you talking to a gentleman from New Mexico a couple of weeks back, and he was talking about his race car, how he uses his own car to race around. He was looking for some kind of sponsorship.
Well, that wasn't go-kart, though. That was...
No, but this is what I'm leading to. I'm leading to the fact that, go-kart racing is, the most underrated racing sport in the world. And
is that so?
Yes, sir, it is. And, maybe it'd be good for him to... New Mexico is in Region 7. That's a big-time racing circuit. And maybe it'd be, worth it for him to look into go-kart racing.
Who watches people go-kart race?
Well, the spectators are mostly there at the track. Nobody... This is another reason I'm calling you. I tried for years to get go-kart racing, on TV from major networks.
Who would watch it?
I'll tell you what. Kids go crazy for it. It's a father-son racing sport is what people look at it as. I do demonstrations at high schools, police athletic leagues, and stuff like that. And, the kids of America, they always look for something to dream about, and go-karting, everybody relates to go-karts as, a little tiny thing that, with four wheels. They don't realize that it's, one of the most recognized forms of way of getting into auto racing that there is. Sure. Go-karts do over 160 miles an hour on the major tracks.
Huh. This doesn't do it for me.
Well, I tell you, Bruce, if you ever had a chance to race a go-kart at Talladega, on the big oval, you would you would see something that you've never imagined.
You may be right. I just feel all that. I like to watch the Indy type car. I like to watch some of the modifieds.
Right.
Well, I think probably I was in a bar the other night. They have the big screen TV, and I think this is for me, you understand? And you realize on these old sports channels, these guys are really scratching up for something to get on there for 24 hours.
Everybody wants to get on races, yes, sir.
No, but no, what I'm getting at is they have such crap on there because there's not enough sports to fill the thing 24 hours. And they have these huge trucks with big old tires.
Sure.
That go either they got to pull another car for so many feet or inches,
right?
Or drive across a whole bunch of crushed cars and whatever.
Like the old time tractor pulls, kind of like.
Yeah. What about idiocy?
Yeah, but for the people who do it, it's their dream, it's their life. You know,
happily, there's very few people that go. You watch the crowd, the camera pan the crowds. There's nobody out there.
Right.
And then thank God for that America is a little brighter than that.
See, now there's 200,000 active go-kart races in America today. It's the largest form of racing in this country as far as walking in, putting down some money, and getting behind the wheel of something and being competitive. I wanted to run some names by you because...
we got 1 minute.
Okay, a lot of people started... You were talking about how Emerson Fittipaldi passed Scott Pruitt in the final lap out in Detroit. And Scott Pruitt raced go-karts with me for years. Lake Speed was a world champion go-kart racer. Wrighton Center was a world champion go-kart racer.
What you're saying is these guys are professionals that have done it. That's true.
Well, everybody comes through go-karts to get into most... 80% of all big-time car races came through go-kart racing, Bruce. And I thought if you're a man of the world, if I could just tell you something like this, maybe someday, you could pass it along.
Hey, who knows? I'm delighted to hear it. I must admit I'm not a great racing aficionado. I did get to go in a pace car here at a major race not too long ago.
Fantastic.
And that was all very well. I think the more traditional, maybe go-kart would come under traditional racing. I think these idiots that drive these huge trucks with great tires and for a 3-second proposition, there just ought to be something more they could be doing with their life, or so it seems to me. I think it's a colossal bore. Thanks for your call. I'm Bruce Williams for Talknet. Anna Cortez, Washington. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Bruce, I've negotiated with the state, and I've got myself set up one of those wonderful hot dog carts that you see in the East more often with a whole wheat bun.
With a what? You had my attention. Why a whole wheat bun?
Well, sounded like a good idea. I'd have
Why?
it with a whole wheat bun. Well, that's not really what my interest is. My question to
This one of these with a little umbrella and so forth, the regular cart.
You got it. You got
Okay.
it. That way I didn't have to buy property, and I keep the investment small.
Okay.
I'm off to the point now. I have 2 other businesses going, which really take most of my time, and I'm not interested in managing this thing on a day-to-day basis.
Well, how many carts do you have?
I'm going to have 1.
Well, it doesn't require a great deal of management, it would seem to me.
Well, the labor part of it, hiring an employee and not being able to have some kind of supervision over the employee through the day, what concerned me.
Well, I mean, maybe I'm mistaken. I mean, I see a lot of these guys around. Certainly there's one right downstairs from where I'm sitting as we speak. They work on commission. You inventory their stuff. Now, there are ways to beat something like that, like bringing your own hot dogs in. The guy goes out and buys a dozen hot dogs and a dozen rolls. That's a dozen that you didn't know he sold. You with me?
Yeah, sure.
There are ways to beat you.
Scare me, though.
He goes out and buys a 6-pack of soda. That's a 6-pack you didn't know he sold. You don't get your piece of the action.
Yep.
But it's almost impossible to steal directly because you control his inventory in and out.
On a regular basis.
Yeah, every day.
What I was considering doing was, because of my other business, I meet medically retired firemen and policemen.
Yeah?
And bringing one of these guys or 2 of these guys on for a piece of the action.
Why not? They're commissioned people. Let's not make this into brain surgery. They're commissioned people.
Yep.
That's the end of it.
Thank you.
Like the same guys. I mean, I peddled ice cream when I was a kid on a commission basis. Hard pack, soft pack. I never sold hot dogs. But I mean, I've seen them. I'm a customer. I would get rid of the whole wheat roll idea if I were you.
Why's that?
Because it ain't broken. Don't fix it. If you're going to go for hot dogs, you go for the soubrette, the cheapy, long, skinny hot dogs. That's what people expect. If you're going to have a yupster hot dog cart, I think you're going to die.
Certainly knock a dollar or 2 off the price.
Why would you want to do that?
Well, by going with the less expensive hot dogs, you sell more volume of them.
Sure, we sell a cheap hot dog and a cheap roll. That's what people expect. And the sauerkraut and the mustard and oh my goodness, an upscale height. There may be an exception, but I'm going to tell you. All right, I don't know any place anybody's made any important money on upscale hot dogs in peddling.
Not out of one of those carts.
Hot dogs have always been cheap and dirty. You know, this is not gourmet. I mean, it's highly caloric, the whole routine. Now, you know, in this town, as we speak, you can go outside on the street and you name it. You can buy Clams Casino from a push cart, stir-fried vegetables, Caesar salad. You think I'm kidding, don't you?
No, I am not.
They're all sold on the street.
All sold out of carts.
But on the other hand, you have millions of people milling around. You sell just about anything. $2 popsicles and whatever. It amazes me. People pay $2 for an ice cream popsicle, but that's what they get for them. You know, with the thick chocolate and all that kind of good stuff. But the hot dogs, trust me when I tell you, it's the cheap hot dogs, the long, skinny jobs. Why are they long and skinny, by the way? There's a reason.
Makes them look bigger in the...
No, they cook quicker. You have to, you cook them in hot water over well, they say, sure. You put something in there that's 1.5 inches in diameter, it might take 20 minutes to get hot. You can't turn them over. Long and skinny, you put them in 5 minutes' time, they're hot. You've increased the surface area to absorb the heat. What are you laughing at?
No, I'm not. That's making notes.
This is true. These are things that you have to be aware of. That's all.
Yep.
But I would.
To do.
Pardon me?
I got more research to do on my.
I would think so. I would go with, as I said, with the stuff that I described, with a mustard and the mustard you put on with a wooden stick. You know how that goes, right? Chopped onions. Who was the guy with the old comedians? Pickle in the middle and the mustard on top, just the way you like them, and they're all red. Mr. Kissel. Was it Jack Benny, I think?
Mm-hmm.
Long time ago.
You need me on that one, Bruce.
What can I tell you? You know, the point is, people say that, right? So I can recite the Gettysburg Address. I wasn't there.
Yep.
I mean, I watched the Great Train Robbery, and I got a feeling that was made a few years before I was born. No reason why you shouldn't know things just because you weren't around for them. Anyway.
Well, and going with the tested pattern, instead of trying to build with my own wheel, go with what has worked in the past.
Absolutely. It's not broken. Why do you want to fix it? What do you gain by that kind of an innovation? What do you gain? The answer is nothing. Now, if you said there was 20 hot dog carts in a row, I'm going to be the 21st. Maybe you'd have something to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, it's not broken. Leave it alone.
Thanks for 2 ideas.
Take good care, my friend.
Bye-bye.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. This is Talknet. Newton, Iowa. Hello.
Hi, Bruce.
How are we doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
All righty. What's on your mind?
I've got an innovation to an existing idea. It's undergarments for smart children. And I sent it off to one of these companies that advertise on the TV. You know, inventors companies.
Yep.
You don't like them?
Well, not a question of liking them. I mean,
well,
if you have sucker tattooed on your chest, send them a check.
Well, I called the Better Business Bureau on them, and their bank too.
Yeah, what does that mean? That means nothing.
So what do you think? What do you think I should do?
What did I just get through?
Just drop everything with them and just go someplace else.
Did you give them any money yet?
No.
I wouldn't. I would not.
Well, they're requesting it.
$600 and some odd dollars.
Yeah.
Next, they're going to request about $3,000 after you give them the $600.
And even though it's a good idea, you don't think it's worth it? Or you don't think I should?
I don't know how many ways to say it to you, my friend. And I'm more concerned with people who are listening than I am with you at this moment. And I mean that because I don't think I'm going to convince you. Point is that these guys are perfectly legal. They don't tell you they're going to do anything. Not if you read what they say very carefully.
Yeah, I did. It said very few ever make it.
You've got that. You want to test that theory? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Send in the craziest idea. Not real, not super crazy. Because we've already done this, you understand.
Yeah.
Sent in projects that can't possibly have any merit. And they still say, send us the money. Now you test that theory.
But see, they should not, even though it's a bad idea, they'll go ahead and say, well, send us
Why
the money.
not? What do they have to lose? Certainly. What do they have to lose?
That's where they make their money, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Send in a bad idea and see if I'm not correct.
I will.
The same thing is true of these guys who, if you'll see the ads, We are seeking poets to, write music, song lyrics, right?
Yeah.
Make up the dumbest lyric you ever saw.
They'll say we'll go with.
Oh, this is the best thing. This is the best thing since Gone with the Wind. Send a check.
Yeah. All right.
No, I don't subscribe. Look, if you've got a good idea, you got to spend some money on it, but that's not the place to spend it.
Go to a patent lawyer or something.
Well, that's first. And it's what you said something about children's undergarments.
Yeah, it has something to do with children undergarments, small children.
What does it have to do with them?
Well, actually, it's a diaper. I'm told it'll revolutionize the industry.
A diaper, like a cloth diaper?
No, it's
a throwaway diaper?
Yeah, but I can't really say.
Well, if it's a throwaway diaper, unless it's something that is biodegradable, you may as well get hip to the idea they're going to be outlawed one of these days.
Yeah.
I hope so, anyway.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
Good luck, my friend. Yeah, if you're serious, talk to a patent attorney and start from there.
Okay. Oh, well, I was wondering, I haven't got the money to do any of this. A venture capitalist, have you ever heard of
I know, of course I know what venture capitalists are, but they are generally not in the business of financing something as embryonic as this. You got to have something going.
Got to have it already in the works.
Absolutely. Sure. They want to see something. They're willing to take risk, but I mean, you're asking them to take far more risk than is even reasonable.
Well, when I do, go further with it, how do I go about finding these people?
Oh, they're all over the place. Take a look at any financial magazine, any major newspaper, you'll see ads.
Okay.
They're all over the place.
All right. Well, thank you.
Take good care, my friend. I hope it works out well, but save your $600.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. New York City, New York. Hello there, Big Apple.
Oh, hello, Bruce. I'm so pleased to speak to you.
Thank you.
I have a problem, and I really need all the things that you said you are. I listen to you every single night.
I'm delighted.
Okay. About 3 months ago, I went on a vacation with a firm that is based in Paris, but they had in Los Angeles, an office.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of money. It was supposed to be a spa, and this was 3 months ago.
A spa in Paris?
Well, no, it was a spa vacation in Martinique.
All right.
Okay. It never rains in Martinique.
It doesn't?
That's what they said. Anyhow, it was the non-rainy season, Bruce.
All right.
The second day there. Arrived Saturday night. This is Sunday morning. I go to get into a boat from a dock, and a man takes my hand. It's raining. There's 2 inches of water in the boat, and I go sprawling.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent the week there, but I was in absolute agony. They did take me to a hospital to check that I didn't have anything broken. But I've had lots of problems. Anyhow, I get home, and I immediately go to a hospital here to check out what's the matter. Nothing is broken, but I have a lot of sprain, strain, and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In the interim, I get a letter from a lawyer in Los Angeles with a release agreement and with telling me that they will refund the entire price of the trip, but they will not pay any medical bills. I called my lawyer, and he said, you can't sign this until you know if you're really going to be all right. Hold on to it, see what they say, because suing from New York to Los Angeles is a real problem.
The Los Angeles is not a problem. The Martinique could be a problem.
Well, no. The point is that it wouldn't be the Martinique. It'd be I would sue to Los Angeles.
Yeah, but there's a hooker in that, dear.
Yeah, what?
If they have no assets to speak of in California, what good is the judgment?
Well, but they sent me this, they had an office.
I understand that, but the point is that unless they have an office in L.A., is what you told me.
Right.
But unless they have assets in Los Angeles, if you get a decent-sized judgment, you're not going to collect it.
Well, okay, we decided not to sue.
Good.
And under the circumstances, so what I did was after going to the doctor and whatever, I signed the release agreement.
All
The
right.
lawyer had assured me the minute she got it, she would send me by express mail the check for the trip.
Which is how much money?
It's almost $4,000.
Mm-hmm.
Very expensive. And for me, a real problem, because I finally decided to spend a little money on myself. I'm a senior citizen.
Mm-hmm. So go ahead.
Okay, so now I send back the release, and I wait for express mail. I run every day.
Shorten this up. What happened?
What happened is they never sent it. I tried to call the lawyer in Los Angeles. They would not accept my call. So I told my lawyer, and he wrote a letter.
Mm-hmm.
And he got an answer saying that they had sent me a letter 2.5 months ago saying that if they didn't hear from me in a week, the deal was off. Now, for a letter to get from Los Angeles to New York.
Did you get such a letter?
Never. Never got the letter, but I have a copy.
From them?
From them, which they sent to my lawyer.
And what did your lawyer say?
My lawyer says that it's a problem again with Los Angeles.
I'd first of all make a complaint to the Bar Association in that county.
That's what I plan to do. And what else can I do? The guy is back in Paris. And I understand that there were some problems with him. This is a doctor that is from Paris that was practicing in Los Angeles illegally.
You were back to the same thing again. No assets. What are you going to do?
I don't know. But, I mean, the point is they didn't send me back the release form
I understand that, but I would make a complaint to the Bar Association, because if that's a California lawyer, she's still going to have some problems here.
It's not in any.
How many stores have you guys called on? Rap, hello there, I'm Murray.
None.
Well, that's what you got to do. Initially, at the very least, find out what the reception is. Find out what they're impressed with, and find out what turns them off. You're going to do that with a letter.
You can or can't?
You cannot.
Okay.
See, what you're trying to do is, I don't mean this well, it's critical to the extent I don't agree with it. But you're trying to do it the easy way. There ain't no easy way.
Okay.
You got to go out there and wear out the shoe leather.
Okay.
And certainly within 100 miles of your current location, you could find how many? 50 stores?
Probably.
Well, then you get out there and call them.
Okay.
You're going to find out where the problems are. You're going to find there are omissions that you have not conceived. They're going to point them out to you, and that's not disgraceful. Got to get out there and do it the hard way, son.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And by the way, you'll be spending less money, actually less capital commitment. To Fairfax, Virginia. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I was in a new car dealer the end of September.
Yeah.
And I signed a contract to purchase a new 1989 car.
Okay.
And the dealer signed the contract, and I got a good deal, I think, $15,550.
All right. You were happy with the transaction?
I'm delighted with the transaction.
Fine.
And they've got a non-deliver clause of 14 days, which is rapidly coming up.
Which means if they don't deliver 14 days, the deal's off.
Right. And I gave them the down payment of $500. Everything seems fine. A couple of days later, I get a call. Gee, we don't have the car. We can't locate the car. And we'd like for you to come up with an additional sum of money to buy a new model car.
Well, that's not so terribly unusual because they can't order the car now. The 89s are out of production. And what they've got to do is go into the network and see if they can find what you're looking for in the pipeline someplace. If they can, God bless them. If they can't sell you the car. Now, if you can find what you like on the lot, and you wind up with a green car when you really like a blue car, which is no big deal,
right?
And you didn't want Cruise, but the Cruise is on there. That's the way when you're buying leftovers, that's the way they're purchased. Okay. You got to buy them with whatever they got.
Whatever they got, and if they can't find one, now if they're saying that they've looked in their regional area and they can't seem to locate one,
that's probably
that's reasonable.
Yeah. Okay. What they're doing is, for lack of I'm probably putting this poorly, which will set some dealers will be smiling there. But what it amounts to is there's a master inventory list that shows where all of the certain models are, and then you start calling around. And a lot of times it's a matter of I'll trade you my this for your that kind of thing, depending upon the popularity. I mean, there's one particular car that I've mentioned on the air a couple times, and I don't do that right now, but I am very disappointed because they've taken what I consider to be a beautiful automobile in the last 3 years, and the 1990 looks like every other car.
Right.
They all look the same. They look like this so-called sleek lines. They're all trying to get this European look like the Mercedes and BMW. If I wanted a Mercedes, I'd buy a Mercedes, or a BMW, I'd buy a BMW. But you look at the 1990s, they all look the same. Well, I think wasn't it Ford, for their Lincoln products, ran a commercial where the kid working the valet parking would say, well, here's your so-and-so. Oh, no, that's a this. They all look alike. Well, let me tell you, you could extend that right across the other product lines today. I don't understand these guys. They're all trying to look like, they all look the same, these cars.
Okay, so it's not a matter of what I would think a bait and switch could be.
It could, but I doubt it very seriously. When the leftover game is, let's find out. We can only find what's out there,
right?
As opposed to, if you were looking at 1990, you could order, and you want a pink interior. If they offer that, you can get one with a green outside.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Good luck, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Boy, no, I don't understand that. And this particular car was a beautiful automobile. They were selling, so it wasn't broken. So the repairman had to go at it. Oshkosh, hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Good evening, Bruce.
Hi.
Nice to finally get a hold of you.
Well, thank you, sir.
You're a hard guy to contact.
Nah, it's a piece of cake.
busy. Wanted to get your opinion on something. I've got a small business that I'm running right now, where I'm managing people's monthly expenses for them, whether it be because of lack of time or whatever the case may be.
You said their expenses?
Right.
What does that mean?
Well, what it is we take a list of what monthly expenses they have going out and their income, and we divide it up into who has to be paid and when. And we take care of this for our clients.
Well, you pay their bills.
Well, with their money, right?
Yes. Okay.
Right.
When you say their expenses, I understand.
Okay. Well, what I'm curious about as far as liability insurance, I've heard you talk a lot about.
Well, you clearly have to have some kind of professional liability. Suppose you spend the money at the wrong people.
Right. Well, everything is done with their approval, since it's their money.
Well, suppose you make a mistake. That's what insurance is there for, the unexpected.
Right.
Suppose you screw up. I guess what we're talking about.
Could happen.
All right. Now, how much is the maximum amount of money that you pay out on any one client's behalf in any 1 month? About.
I'd say limited. Probably the maximum I've seen has probably been $400.
Oh, your exposure is minimal then.
Okay.
You mean that's the max?
Right.
Including the mortgages and stuff you pay for the guy?
Right.
You must have very little accounts. Very little accounts.
Well, I'd say it's growing as time goes on.
I don't mean the number of accounts. I mean how. $400. I mean, what are you paying for these people? Most mortgages are more than $400.
Not around here.
You're kidding me.
No, it's a super place to live.
How much is the average mortgage?
I'd say between probably about between 3 and 400. Probably the biggest one that I've seen has been maybe 4.25, 435.
You're kidding me. How much is the average home cost?
We're looking at anywhere from let's say 50 to 70.
I was in Wisconsin yesterday.
In Madison.
In Madison.
Right.
And I was sitting after we did our little thing at in kind of a exhibition hall, for lack of a better way to put it. They had a lot of goodies and that sort of thing. And I was listening to people talk about $300 condominiums in Wisconsin on the lake.
On what lake?
I don't know, somewhere near Milwaukee, I guess. But they were, $2,500 for this, $275 for that.
Okay, well, that was probably around the Milwaukee area, yeah. But right now we're just in the Fox River Valley.
That much difference, huh?
Mm-hmm. A major difference, yeah.
You can actually buy a home that cheap. Okay, I'm surprised because these are all people from Wisconsin, and they were saying, "Oh, I could never get a house for that kind of money." I mean, people were, the least I could find a place, $100 a quarter, $150.
Oh, no.
Is that right?
No, they must be looking in the wrong areas then.
Huh?
Interesting. From my experience.
Indeed. Okay, so if that's the kind of money you're getting per client, I think your exposure is relatively small. You can be self-insured for that.
I see.
I mean, suppose you did everything wrong that month.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah, you'd be liable for $400 plus maybe some late fees on their loans.
Right.
Not a very big exposure as I see it.
I see.
Maybe something else there that I'm missing. So you want me to run this past your insurance guy, but I don't see any big exposure.
That was my thinking too. That not I didn't put in the words as far as the exposure goes, but we're dealing with such. We are dealing with an important area, obviously being people's finances.
Indeed, but it's spread across a lot of people, so that if you make a mistake here, it won't affect the others. If it's as you described, I don't think there's any reason for insurance. Or put another way, I would not have any insurance. I would be self-insured for the relatively small amount of exposure, but by all means discuss it with your insurance guy because he is the professional. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. Springfield, Missouri. Your turn. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
I've want to ask you a question. I helped my son-in-law buy a small business.
Okay.
And it's an incorporated business, and I own 40%
Of the stock.
of the stock.
All right.
My question is, we came up on hard times.
Mm-hmm. What kind of business?
Oh, it's a print shop.
Okay, and you say, when you say hard times, I take it the shop is not doing too swell.
Well, it's doing good, but it just seems like that it's the previous owner possibly didn't charge enough for the products.
You have to raise your voice a little bit, champ.
I said the previous owner possibly didn't charge enough for the product.
Well, why don't you just raise the prices?
Well, we're in the process of doing that.
Okay.
We're in the process of doing it. My question to you then is, if the worst would come and it would go bankrupt, I'm just curious what my obligation would be. Would I be drugged into it?
You're nothing other than a stockholder.
That's right.
Now, wait a minute. Are you an officer of the corporation?
Yes.
Did you sign any personal guarantees?
No.
And the obligations of the corporations? Other things being equal, I don't think you'd have any other obligations other than your equity in the company.
I see. Okay.
If you sign nothing.
I didn't. My son-in-law is the one that he's a 60% because of the fact that he came up with he signed personally for things.
Well, he's on the hook.
Yeah, that's right. He stands the possibility of losing everything.
How badly off are you guys?
Oh, it's just a situation where we were trying to service too much debt, and we bought some blue sky, and it just servicing too much debt. I wish we had someone as knowledgeable as you to help us.
No, not sure I could help, but I appreciate the compliment. You have to raise your voice a little bit. I have a little problem hearing you. But are you getting professional help?
Well, we have a CPA, but I don't know for sure that we take our problems. We haven't taken our problems and made it in the CPA's lap as of yet.
Yeah, but his function usually is not to advise. It's rather to report what is. I'm asking if you talk to anybody that is business-oriented that might be able to see things that you don't see. At the very least, and that is maybe poorly put, but they go to SCORE. Do you know SCORE?
Yes, I heard an advertisement on the TV today.
Well, why don't you contact them? You're talking to knowledgeable people that won't charge you a kopeck, retired business folks that know their way around the bar and have the scars to prove it. It may well be that just a matter of adjusting prices or something of that nature, which certainly beats the heck out of bankruptcy. I'll look into it. Thanks for your call. I'm Bruce Williams for Talknet. To the Big D, Dallas, Texas. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. How you doing?
I am well, thank you.
Good. I wanted to make more a comment than any specific questions, but you had a caller on yesterday evening about had an idea and wanted to know what to do with it, and he had contacted an agency and you gave him some advice and so on. Do you remember the call?
Yesterday's show was on tape, so that call was made a couple of months ago, so why don't you refresh my memory?
Well, there was a caller that had an idea, and he was interfacing with a company that had...
one of these invention companies.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and I am confident I was anything but complimentary.
I can certainly understand your viewpoint there, and I agree with you that there are a number of people, thousands of people, as a matter of fact, across the United States that get taken in by these companies.
I've been victimized where they, and I must tell you that we have sent crazy inventions into these companies.
Mm-hmm.
And, this is the best thing since ice cream. Send us $1,000, or usually about $600 to begin with. And then the next move is for $1,800 and so forth, that they're going to put you into computers and use other means to make your idea known to major corporations and so on and so forth, and help you go through the patent process and whatever.
Yes, and there was an expose in a certain magazine.
What magazine?
Venture Magazine, October 88.
Okay, I know Venture. I didn't read the article.
October 88, it's called Dreamweavers, and they did mention a lot of the companies by name and specifically. But my comment to you and the listening audience is that there are a number of legitimate marketing consulting firms, okay, that specialize in working with small companies and individuals, okay, to help them do market research.
I don't quarrel with that, but that's not. But those aren't the ads that are run on radio and television and in print, saying inventors. If you have an idea, we will do thus and such. It is aimed not at companies. I'll bet not 1 in 1,000 inquiries they receive are from companies. They're from individuals, the mechanic, the radio talk show host, the guy that has the best idea since putting raisins into bread and doesn't have a clue what to do with it. But he has dreams of persuading some big company putting the money up, and that's the hook that they use. They bait you with that we have the contacts to bring this to the attention of, and so on and so forth. Now, I certainly can't say they're fraudulent because that would present some problems, but they certainly do not deliver on the dreams that they weave.
I understand, and that directly references that particular article. But I'm the vice president of marketing with a consulting firm, and we do work with some individuals that have good ideas, and we do refer them to patent attorneys. And you gave your caller good advice to consult a patent attorney. But oftentimes, with certain ideas, that a patent is nice and it looks good on the wall and it gives a person a lot of self-satisfaction. But if you can't make any money out of it,
it's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time. Thomas Edison, few people realize that he had 1,093 patents to his credit before he died. But he said close to his death that I don't want to invent something that nobody's going to buy. So I take issue a little bit with your advice to just run down to the local patent attorney and apply for a patent when testing and market research and...
I have no quarrel with that, but you see, I'm sure that's not quite what I said.
Okay.
What I have said, and I'd say it again, is you have to have enough confidence in your idea to invest in the idea, that nobody else is going to do it out of hand. And so many people are absolutely paranoid about their idea being stolen, that they would no more go to a consultant and confide in him or her or them, because they are absolutely persuaded that the idea is so great, the first thing's going to happen is going to be swiped. Now,
granted,
and also, and you can extend what you said a moment ago about the patent. The patent doesn't protect you particularly well. Anything can be knocked off and ripped off. I mean, look at this. Take a walk down 7th Avenue in New York City, right on the corner from where this broadcast emanates. Right as we speak, I could send Bill or Sheila downstairs and pick up a dozen different name brand knockoffs on watches. There must be but 6 people hustling on the corner outside here. And you can believe that doesn't make those watch manufacturers exactly wild with enthusiasm.
Right. Well, they're knocking off trademarks, but that's another matter.
Yeah, but boy, let's take the Rubik Cube. That was a specific device.
Okay.
It got ripped off by everybody under the sun in the Far East. Is that not true?
Yes, that is true.
So we're going to get ripped. You're going to get, unless you have a ton of money, you're going to get ripped off anyway.
But we hear that all the time.
The paranoia, you mean?
It is a legitimate concern, and there is if I've heard it once, I've heard it a million times that you can just change one thing in a patent and beat the patent. Well, that's just not the case. Otherwise, patents would be useless, and we'd just close down the patent office and forget about it.
You can change one. Well, okay, but there are relatively minor changes. But the big thing is, let me ask you this. Okay, you got a patent, right?
Okay.
And you're a guy with a couple $100,000.
All right.
And I got a major company. I can give you an example of this, a specific example that wound its way through the courts. It's such an obvious idea, too, when you think about it. And what had happened was somebody came up. You know what reinforcing steel is?
Yes, sir.
The stuff that you bury in concrete.
Rebar.
Yeah. Well, somebody came up with the idea of coating that with plastic, so it didn't deteriorate inside the concrete.
Okay.
It lasted, for a ton of time. Well, apparently, I'm just reporting the facts as I remember them in the press.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggies came along and started doing it. And here's a guy you know, he had the patent and he was doing pretty well. His business just about went down the toilet.
Right.
But he did have a few $1 million and enough to beat him, and he beat their drawers off.
All right.
But a smaller guy wouldn't have the money to fight him, and the big company just laughed at you.
What we advise our clients to do is to get married to a company that has deep pockets through a licensing agreement.
Yeah, but if you can arrange that marriage, then you're earning your money.
We are.
Okay, but how many of these people that advertise they can arrange that marriage? They're just blowing smoke in your face.
Well, we have to combat that all the time. We can't apologize for people that are
let me start out with a basic. Do you want money up front?
Yes, sir. To perform services.
What services?
Well, they have to do a patent search because they don't know if they're even.
All right, let's get past that. I walk in, I've got a patent.
All right, got a patent.
And I already have the thing patented. All I want from you is to make the marriage. I want you to perform the marriage. You're the marriage broker. Go find me the suitor.
Okay, fine. First, you have to do a target company search.
All right, do I have to pay for that?
Yes, sir. Or you can do it yourself. I'll outline.
Well, can I say, look, I'll give you a third of my product. You front it.
No, sir. That puts us in a position of being an investor.
What's wrong with that?
Well, we're not in a position to be an investor. They need to get an investor to do that. But the point is, Bruce, I'll answer your question.
Okay.
The question is, all right, you have to first, in order to make a sale, you've got a prospect, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so if we have a toy, a toy is a bad example. Let's say it's a tool.
Okay.
All right, a hand tool. Well, first of all, we have to go to the Thomas Register or Dun & Bradstreet $1 Million Directory or
whatever.
Search it on a database and come up with a list of
people who use or manufacture or vend that
manufacture and distribute, right?
Okay.
So let's say we come up with 150 companies.
All right.
All right. Are our clients or you as the patent holder, are you going to sit down and call all 150 companies?
Well, but let's get past that just for a moment. Is a call from you worth more than a call from me? Do you have a reputation? Do you have contacts within this manufacturing community?
Yes, we do.
Okay, well, that's important. If you can say affirmatively and prove it, that's important.
Members of Licensing Executive Society International. It's a 6,000-member worldwide organization of Fortune 500 companies. And when a request goes out on our letterhead and we identify ourselves as a member of LES, then it gets attention.
Mm-hmm.
We know exactly who to direct the call to.
Okay, that's a credential. At least you can see why I'm asking the question.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. I only got another minute or so.
When you say that you're going to indict all companies that charge upfront fees, then we take issue with that, because if there's value that's inherent in the services that the company's providing, yes, fine. If it's a fair exchange.
All right. Well, let me ask one last question. I have to turn you loose.
Okay.
In the area, because have some time constraints placed on us. What representations do you make to the potential client? Do you say to them? I mean, do you tell them that you can do all this stuff and it's likely going to result in a sale, or put another way?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back. Let's do it empirically.
Okay.
For every 100 clients that you take on, how many of them find this marriage with a deep pockets partner? As a direct result of your...
direct result of our efforts, about 20%.
Do you tell that to your prospective clients?
Yes, we do.
That the odds are 4 in 5 that you're going to fail if you pay us the money.
That's right.
I have no quarrel with you if you do that.
Yes,
if you say up front, if you give us 20 grand, this is what we're going to do, and the odds are 4 in 1 that you're going to fail.
Right, Bruce, what we're saying to them is that even if we didn't exist, okay, if you paid an attorney to do what we do, they'd have to follow the same methodology.
Mm-hmm. But the point is that what I'm trying to get to, is that what I object to. I'm going to make the assumption. I'm going to give these other companies the what's the term I'm looking for? I'm going to be generous and say they do what they say they're going to do, at least they go through the motions. What I'm saying that they paint entirely too rosy a picture of the prospects of success, when in fact the prospects of failure, using your terms, are 80-20.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people are entitled to know that up front.
Well, coming up with an invention is a high risk venture.
Yeah, but I want people to be told that, not that we're your friend, that, by golly, we're going to contact companies through databases and computers and all this impressive stuff and just send us a check. Market research is a legitimate function if we have an experienced researcher and so on and so forth. And I don't even mind if it's a big company, they can afford to take the hit and they should know better. But it's the guy who's driving a bus all day, or he's a mechanic or a singer or whatever it happens to be, and he's going to sink his life savings in because somebody says, man, this is the best idea since ice cream, fully knowing that the chances of success are infinitesimal next to the chances of failure. I think you have a responsibility to spell it out. Well, thank you much for your call, Tiger. We'll do it again. I'm Bruce Williams. This is TalkNet. Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Hello there. Welcome to TalkNet.
Hello, Bruce. Thanks for taking my call.
Not at all. What's up, Doc?
Well, I've got a problem with a competitor. I'm in a business I've got something new to North Idaho. It's a continuous aluminum and steel siding machine.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been going out and giving bids to people, and I got a contract signed last week from some people for me to go ahead and start working tomorrow.
You deal with a consumer, or do you deal with contractors?
Both.
Okay.
Both. This is it's a homeowner.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And today I drive by the job site where I was supposed to start work tomorrow, and a competitor has outbid me after these people had signed a contract with me to start work.
Did you get a deposit from him?
No, I didn't. So he's done this about 3 or 4 other times, and I'm trying to figure out what to do.
Oh.
He has a different kind of siding, and he tells people that this is not a good kind of siding, and they do it all over the country. And I'm just trying to figure out where to go.
Well, when you say he's beating at your own game, and first of all, how do people get to him?
The beginning of the agreement.
All right. You didn't do that.
Well, I got one, and I didn't get the other.
That don't do it. One is not enough.
Right. But she doesn't live here. She rents the place out.
Yeah, that's a whole other program. You see, these people that are out of town oftentimes get a notice and, well, what the heck that's all about, therefore I don't want any part of it.
Right.
Or they half read, or they see it's official or whatever.
The only part that
have you contacted this person directly? The caller, the gal who owns the joint next door?
Yes.
You talked to her on the phone or something?
Yes.
What did she say?
She came over. She actually, after a couple of months, she came over and looked at it after I already built it.
Yeah.
And told me about some modifications she wanted done to it.
Like what?
Well, I had to take the corner off the deck because of the view. We're on the water. And she said that the corner of the deck was blocking her view, and she had to kind of lay in bed and all this stuff to even see it. But anyway, she said that it was blocking her view, and I had to take the corner off the deck.
Yeah.
But the people that are renting the place...
They have nothing to say. Has nothing, whatever, it doesn't matter what they say. Don't even tell me.
All right.
Because the owner, I don't mean to be short with you, but the owner's the one who has the rights.
Right.
And you see, when you buy into a deal like you bought into... And I have as well. So, this isn't do what you do as I do, but you know what I'm saying. You agree to certain restrictions. You don't have the rights and privileges that you would have if you had a freestanding home. Any more than if you opened up McDonald's hamburgers place, that you can do what you could do if you called it Joe's Hamburgers.
You're going to find out.
You can't put any guacamole in the hamburgers in McDonald's. You can at Joe's. Now, you agreed to those things, and that is the weakness and the strength. Because the only way you'd have this uniform look that you have in your area is by having these restrictions.
Right. That's true.
There's not a question in my mind. If she went to court, I would be willing to gamble. She could have that thing torn down. You'll have to do it.
Mm-hmm. The only thing that aggravated me was that there was 4 other ones just like it.
Wait a minute, but they got permission.
They got permission.
They got permission from the people on either side of them, apparently.
They did.
Well, then they say, is that what the rules require?
Well, that's I haven't really found that in the covenant, but that's what they're saying.
Well, if that's what they're saying, first of all, you want to find it. The first thing you got to do is read the covenants.
Right.
So, because right now you're thrashing around in a vacuum of ignorance. Read them. This is not exactly like reading some racy novel, man. This is going to be a pain. But you got to read them, understand them. Right. And if you are in violation, you're going to have to be very nice to this woman. If that means taking a corner off, so be it.
Boy, they want a big chunk of it taken off.
Well, she sounds like a pain to me.
Oh, I'm telling you. she's a prior real estate woman, and she wants everything exactly,
Well, what did she say to you when you talked to her?
Well, she didn't understand why my one neighbor gave me the permission because she didn't like it, and I'd used all the best materials I could possibly.
Let me ask you this: do you have any restrictions on tenants in your unit?
Pardon me?
Do you have any restrictions on tenants?
On tenants?
Yeah. Come on, man. I'm looking for a way that you can dig this broad. Now, come on, listen to me. Do you have any? Most places have restrictions on what your tenants can and cannot do.
Well,
for example, I have a place where I can own a dog if I live there, but a tenant cannot. Owners can have a pet, tenants can't. You see?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Now, every time that tenant so much as drives on the driveway and crosses the line, you file a complaint. And you tell this lady, every time you have a tenant, every time they don't cross an I or dot a T, I'm going after them. Because sooner or later, you're not going to have any tenants. Is that the way you want to play this game? If you can find things that they do. Now, it's almost impossible not to break a rule. You see what I'm getting at?
Right.
You're going to make her life miserable, this lady. Find out what she does. Hit her where she lives. She has this as an investment, right?
Right.
Well, you want to make it so that people don't want to live there.
Which she says she's going to sell it within the next year anyhow.
Well, in that case, buy it from her.
I've thought about that too.
Well, I'm serious. And that would solve your problem.
Can I ask you one other thing?
Sure, I'm not trying to... Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yes.
If you get somebody nasty, you're going to out-nasty them. But you can't out-nasty them by sitting at home with a six-pack and watching television. You've got to find out what they're doing. Everybody is vulnerable. Let's start with that premise, all right?
Right.
Now, the first thing I'm looking at her at is that she owns this as an investment.
Right.
And I also know as an owner, you have more rights than a tenant. Now, if the tenant so much as puts a bag of garbage 2 inches out of line, bang, complaint. You see?
Right.
As an owner, she's got to answer that complaint. And you tell her it's exactly the game you're going to play. You don't want to play it, but she's going to sell it with difference to make.
That's it.
That's the kind of game you play. And you say, look, if you want to sell it, I'll buy it right now. If you have the resources at the proper price.
The rules reads neighbor, and according to an attorney that I asked about it, he said that neighbor means the person that lives next to you, not somebody that lives in a remote area.
Well, I don't know that you can... Where does she live? Her apartment's next door, right?
It's next door, but she lives...
That doesn't matter where I think your attorney is reaching. Maybe not, but I think he's reaching. The rights go with the owner of that unit, not the person who's occupying it.
Right.
Most cases, they have a right to occupy, use the swimming pool and all that sort of stuff, but that's it. They have no rights. The tenant can't go vote at an association meeting.
That's right.
No, they have no rights. I think your attorney's he's all wet. I just have learned a long time ago how to be a commando. Nobody likes commandos.
That's true.
Your choice. I do wish you well, kid.
Thank you, Bruce.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. This is Talknet. Off we go to the Big Apple. It's New York City, New York. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good, Bruce. I listen to your show every night. I think you're wonderful.
Well, thank you very much. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm calling for some advice about what to do for a career.
All right.
I mean, it sounds crazy. I went to law school. I graduated about 4 years ago, but I don't practice law. I went into sales.
All right. Why did you do that?
Well, I failed the bar exam a couple of times, and I needed a job, and I fell into this job by, I don't know, luck, I guess.
Good luck.
And I liked it.
What are you selling?
Training seminars.
All right. And have you subsequently passed the exam?
I'm waiting for the results. I'll know probably the end of this month.
Oh, lots of luck, baby.
Thanks.
You only get 3 bites at the apple in New York, right?
No, that's not true. You can take it as many times
Can you really?
as you want. Yes.
Oh, that ought to make Mr. Kennedy feel happy.
Well, it's 3 bites of the apple if you work for the DA's office.
Ah, that's what it is, huh?
But you personally can take it as many times as you want.
Well, I hope the kid makes it.
I do, too.
Anyway, what's up?
Well, my question is, at this point, I'm pretty far down the road from the point at which I would have been had I gone out of law school and looked for a job.
What does that? I'm not quite sure what you said.
Well, what I'm saying is, I've been working for 4 years, and they're making a pretty decent salary in sales.
All right.
Were I to now find out that I passed the bar exam, I would have to take a job at about half of what I'm making.
All right.
For me, that's an important consideration because I'm saddled with about $60,000 in student loans.
For all of us, huh? It's taken what are you earning now?
About 50.
Well, that's right. How old are you?
40s.
Well, that's nothing wrong with it. I mean, you were a non-traditional student then.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, friends of mine have been telling me that I should wait and see if I pass the bar exam and then take a job for $20 or $25,000 a year.
Well, and why do they talk to me about you? Are you single, married, what?
I'm single.
Aside from the student loans, what other crushing burdens are you lugging around? Okay, well, $60,000 is not an inconsequential sum, but it's a doable.
Yes, I know.
But it's a doable sum based upon the income that you described to me. It may be far less doable at $25,000.
That's right.
And furthermore, the fact that you were a non-traditional student is an advantage and a disadvantage. Entering the law field in your mid-40s doesn't give you as much time to recover as it would if you were 25 years younger or 20 years younger or whatever.
That's right.
I think those are things to consider. And another thing to consider, do you like what you're doing now?
I love it.
Well, why in the world would you want to change?
Well,
for what purpose? You can still use your intellect. The things that you learned in law school are not lost to you.
Oh, no.
Why would you want to change?
See, I don't. I want to stay in sales, and what I want to do is move into a career path that would lead to management.
Yeah.
This is my interest, and all my friends say to me, what you should have done is gone for an MBA.
Don't you love it when everybody's trying to second-guess you?
Yes.
Did you ever tell your friends to butt out?
Yes.
Say, hey, leave me alone.
I've told them, I said, look, I'm happy in sales. I want to move on further in sales, and I want to get into management, and this is what makes me happy, and I know that I can increase my salary.
I am a tad behind on my obligations. Would you like to hang on, and we'll kind of pick up the threads of this conversation in about 2 minutes and 10 seconds. I appreciate it. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I'm chatting with a lady in New York City. She has graduated from law school at a little older than the average law student. She's making a ton of money in sales, likes what she's doing, but all of her friends are saying, wow, are you screwing up? Is that about the size of it?
That's it.
I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, my friends keep telling me, but you went to law school. Why do you want to throw that away? And I don't feel that I've done that.
Oh, you had the intellectual stimulation that you've proved that you can do it. And I'm certain you enjoy. What were you doing prior to going to law school?
I worked in personnel.
What prompted you to go to law school all of a sudden? At age, what, about 40 when you started law school?
Well, when I started law school, I was about 32.
Wait a minute, hold it.
I went to law school when I was 32.
Yeah.
4 years in law school at night.
Yeah.
Got me to 36.
Yeah.
And then...
There's a gap there somewhere. Then what?
Then I've worked for about 5 years.
Yeah. And then you went back to law school full-time or part-time or what?
No.
What then?
Trying to figure out
I missed something.
I see what you're saying. Anyway, it turned out that
I missed some time. No, I'm just trying to get the ducks in order. You finished school at 36, law school?
I graduated from college when I was 29.
Yeah, but forget that. I'm talking about law school. You finished law school at your age 36, is that it?
Oh, wait a minute. I started law school when I'm trying to figure this out myself. I started law school when I was 36. Yeah. I got out when I was 40.
Okay.
Okay, and it's 4 years down the road.
Okay, and you've taken the bar exam only twice in the past 4 years?
I took it 5 times. Each time I failed it.
Oh, my goodness, great. You're not such a good test taker, are you?
No. I did pass it in 2 other states. I am licensed to practice in 2 states, Pennsylvania and New Jersey.
Isn't that interesting?
But I failed it 5 times
in New York. Oh,
and I think at this point, I've said I very much like what I would do.
Move across the river.
Yeah, for sure. Only I don't want to live in New Jersey.
Yeah.
But I really think I want to stay in sales. The problem is that the job I'm in now doesn't pay what I think I deserve, and there's no future to it.
Well, the first is hard to evaluate. Most salespeople pay what they're worth because if they sell more, they're paid more. As to the future, that's another matter. There's no way we can evaluate that here. But the thing is, it occurs to me that you are a very fortunate woman in many ways. You're only responsible to yourself. You don't have a family that you have to answer to, or put another way, nobody else is penalized if you make a bad decision.
That's right.
So what is holding you back? Your friends?
Well, my friends keep telling me it's a poor choice.
I don't care what your friend. Let me ask you this. I'm almost out of time. If you screw up, do your friends suffer?
No.
Well, who cares what they think? When I got into this crazy radio business, Some of my friends, wow, you dummy, how can you stay up all night doing that? You ought to be keeping your nose to the regular grindstone and doing whatever it is you do. Did they think I cared what they had to say?
No.
No, clearly not.
I think what my question is, though, is there a real future in sales?
Absolutely. It's the highest paid profession in the country.
That's what I've heard. And I already have 4 years and I want to capitalize.
Absolutely so. And furthermore, to my mind, it is the engine that keeps the economy running, because without sales, we're dead in the water. Mm-hmm. And from where I'm sitting, it is one of the most challenging things in the world. Now, it does require discipline, self-discipline, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody's sitting out there making you go make the sales call, but it is a constant challenge. It's a battle of wits.
Exactly.
And I enjoy it, and I wouldn't change it, and I think that as a practical consideration, and I have to let you go, you are happy with what you are doing. If you let your friends screw that up, let me tell you, you flunked a lot more than a bar.
I think you're right.
I do wish you well.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for your call. I'm Bruce Williams. Agree or disagree? That's what it's all about. This is Talknet. Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at a special automotive issue. This is an advance issue, I believe, an advance copy of, is it Parade magazine? I'm not sure here. But there's a picture of all these 91 automobiles in here. Can you imagine spending $200 for a Lamborghini? $200,000. Oh, of course it does. 200 miles an hour. Has a V12. But where do you drive 200 miles an hour? $200,000. Wow. Dallas, Texas. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Thanks for taking my call.
You're very welcome. What's on your mind?
And also, I want to say that we enjoyed you when you was in Fort Worth last week.
Well, that was kind of a tough crowd.
Yes, it was.
Boy, what was going on? I mean, everybody's kind of quiet. I had a good time, and afterwards, everybody came up and said they had a good time. So I hope it was okay, and I hope you did too. But that was a.
Well, we had a wonderful time, but it's just the city.
Is that what it is? Somebody said to me, "It's not going to be like Dallas."
That's right. It's not. It's totally. I mean, even though they're in the same metroplex, it's totally different people that live in each city.
Is that right?
That's right.
Son of a gun. Well, we had a good time, and everybody was very gracious to me. It was just kind of a quiet crowd. I guess that's the way to describe it.
You couldn't get with it.
There you go. What's on your mind?
Okay. In June, we were gone for 36 days. This is electric bill problem.
Wait, in June, wait a minute. June only has 30 days.
Well, we were gone in June. No. We were gone for 36 days, and This is my June bill that I'm complaining about.
All
6 days went into July.
Okay.
And the bill was for $79.83. And all we had on was the refrigerator because everything else is gas. The hot water heater and anything else will be gas.
How about air conditioning?
No air conditioning. It was turned off.
All right.
Because we were having a lot of rain that month and it was cool here. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't leave anything for it was shut totally off. And
that was a meter read bill as contrasted with an estimated bill.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. So I have called them twice and got no response. They would call me back each time, which they have not done. And then I have written 3 letters to them and no response from them.
Is that none whatever? That's none. Surprising. Most utilities, I've argued and badgered utilities and had some disagreements, but the one thing that I can say for them, they are generally responsive. They do answer telephone calls and complaints.
Well, they have not been. I'm at home during the day.
Son of a gun. Have you called them?
Yes, I've called them twice.
And what do they say?
They just say that they will have to turn it over to the supervisor and they will return my call, that they're not available at that time.
Well, it's time to start calling somebody with a little bit of a title.
Well, that's what I was wanting you to tell me. And they did not answer my letters either. And each time I've paid my bills since then, I have put a note in there stating...
Have you paid that bill?
Yes, Yeah, I have paid that bill.
Part of the problem, you see, that the fact that you paid the bill, it just gets lost in the shuffle.
Well, if you don't see, I've had to pay July and August also since then.
What I would, my next move then, forget what I just told you. Call the Public Utilities Commission, or whatever they call it in Texas.
Okay.
And they ought to be over there in Austin someplace, I guess.
Right.
And you say, look, I'm tired of being ignored by this utility. This is a situation. I'd like a legitimate explanation. I have written, I have called, and I've never received a response. Fact is, I suspect they probably have a complaint office of some kind in Dallas. Most public utility commissions have, in major cities, have a a branch office of some kind.
Okay.
So before you spring for the long-distance call, pick up the telephone book and see if you can find something for them in your area.
Okay, and just explain it.
And I got news for you. This is the time to make that phone call, particularly because you have a really heavily contested gubernatorial election coming up in your part.
You're aware of that, too,
Oh, well,
huh?
the whole country's aware of that one. You kidding me? I mean, you got Miss Glamour Gams from the 1988 election, right?
Right,
From, she made a national name for herself, and Mr. Williams has had so much to say. He's made a name for himself. I think the whole country's watching this one.
We don't have a choice, really.
Well, I didn't say that, but it seems to be a very dirty election.
It is. It's a lot.
At least the national press has viewed it that way.
Yeah.
But that's an aside. The point is, if you're looking for favors from politicians, the best time in the world is the month before election.
Okay.
So I'd make some phone calls if I were you.
Okay, well, I just didn't know where to turn, and I was just getting really aggravated. They ignore me.
They have no right to. They may be right. They may be wrong. But they have absolutely no right to ignore you, and that means there's no defense against that, none whatsoever.
Well, that's what I thought. So
tomorrow morning, get on the phone.
I sure will. And the young lady that answers your phone, she's awful nice, also.
Well, she's smiling up a storm in there.
Okay.
Thank you so very much.
Bye bye.
Enjoy. Yeah, we spent was it last Thursday night in Fort Worth, and then Friday in Wichita, and this coming Saturday we will be 5,000 miles up the road, or something on that order, in Fairbanks, Alaska. Return from Fairbanks on Monday, go to Buffalo on Wednesday, and out to Las Vegas on Saturday, and home on Monday, I believe, and then out to Detroit, Michigan the following Friday. And so it goes. One day, with any kind of a break, we'll get to your town. I really hope so, because it's one of the things I truly enjoy about this thing that we do, getting to race around the country and meet so many of our friends. You made it happen. I'm grateful. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. All right, we get down to the neighbor of Foggy Bottom, Beltsville, Maryland. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello.
2.5 years ago, my husband and I took your advice to plunge in if you want to open a business. And we opened a small air conditioning company. We bought a van, we equipped it, and we went.
How you doing?
Well, the business is paying our bills. In June of this year, we finally started drawing a paycheck for him and not for me. We have an employee. And right now, we stand like this. The business has $10,000 in its checking account. It has $5,000 in CDs. We personally have $5,000 in CDs.
All right. How much did you start this business with?
$5,000 and a van.
Sounds to me like you're doing okay. And how much are you taking out of it in terms of salary?
Okay, right now, $24,000 a year.
I think you're doing very well. You started out you didn't even start on a shoestring. You had the tips on the shoelaces.
Well, we did buy the van cash down, and the business has paid us back for it.
Good. Sounds like you're doing okay.
$10,000 that we sunk into it last year.
But that was generated by the business.
Right.
Sure, that sounds to me like you're doing okay, baby.
Okay. Now my question is this. We have $10,000 out in receivables, and it doesn't look like we'll be getting it for another couple of months.
Well, you're always going to have money in the pipeline.
Right. And we owe $3,000 in credit cards because I'm afraid to spend money because I don't know what's going to happen next month.
You want to pay the credit cards off?
You think so?
Well, sure, for a couple of reasons. You're paying a very substantial rate of interest on the credit cards, right? And let's take, here we go with Mr. Murphy. You know who he is, right?
No. Oh, yeah, Murphy's Law.
Yeah, you know the guy.
Oh, yes.
What can go wrong will, right? Let us assume disaster strikes. You can always borrow the $3,000 on the credit cards, get right back where you are now. You're no worse off.
Yeah, you're right about that.
But you're paying 18 or 20%, and your CD's getting 8 or 9%.
Right.
Somehow or other, I don't see you're not making a whole lot of profit on that transaction. Pay off the credit cards.
Okay.
And you can hold them in reserve. You didn't hear me say cut them up, cancel them, get rid of them.
Oh, no,
they're always there
without them.
No, but they're always there for the reserve. Now, wait a minute. What did you say just now?
I couldn't live without them.
You could or could not?
Could not.
Well, wait a minute. We got a problem then. Back up. What's your first name?
Violet.
Violet, sit down and listen.
Okay.
Here's the problem. Are you maxed out on the credit cards?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not by any means.
Okay, well, then
keep increasing the credit limit.
But you do have discipline. You see, when you say you can't live without them, but you're not going to go crazy if we pay them off and start charging stuff.
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Violet, relax. At ease, Private. Nothing to worry about. You see, you're certainly losing 10% on that $3,000, which is $300 and some odd dollars a year.
Right.
And you've lost the tax advantage because the consumer credit is no longer deductible. So there's tomorrow morning, pay off the credit cards.
Okay. Can I ask you one more question?
With a name like Violet, how would I dare say no? Someday my air conditioning may break down in the Washington area. I'm in trouble.
Oh, I would love for you to come down here. You'd discover that we're the best.
Okay.
How do we get more business?
Well,
We have tried advertising.
What did you try?
Well, we tried the paper, and we didn't get one solitary person.
How many ads did you run?
We ran for a month.
What kind of ads?
About business card size.
Yeah, they're a waste.
Yeah. We also tried radio.
Yeah, what radio did you try?
Well,
What kind of radio?
WRC.
Okay, good station. That's our station. What did you try on the radio?
We ran ads, about 4 times a day for 2 weeks, and we managed to get a very obnoxious customer that we had to fire.
Just one customer?
Yes, sir.
Well, I have to believe that there's something in your who's writing your copy for you?
Me.
Well, that's your first mistake.
Okay.
You're doing you're doing well in the air conditioning business. Doesn't necessarily mean you write good copy. What you think is important very possibly is not important.
What do you think the best I've even tried flyers.
I'm going to do a commercial for you right now.
Okay.
Without your name, because I these guys would be having my head if I did that. I'm going to assume. Let's talk about it. I am now the account executive interviewing Violet. We're going to call it Violet's Air Conditioning. All right.
All right.
I got to get a piece of paper to work with here and take a note or two. All right.
Okay.
Now don't lie to me now, all right?
No.
Suppose I call